She's the Yoko of the Royals, man.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, May 4th, 2023. This is your award-winning Gibbo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1552.
This is No Agenda.
Cranking up the drone wars and broadcasting live from the heart of the Texas Hill Country here in FEMA Region number 6 in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, considering the date, we're all saying the same thing. May the 4th be with you. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Oh, yeah, I forgot all about that. I'm not a Star Wars fan. I mean, I watched the first one and Empire Strikes Back, and that was it. I was done. That was it. I didn't need any more than that.
Yeah.
Was enough. Well, I will say there's not going to be any Star Wars movies for a while. It's happened twice in the existence of this show, and both times it has only benefited us. John's
it
going,
has?
What?
I know it's...
What? The writer's strike.
Yeah, I know. It's only been once during the show.
Yeah, this is the second time.
Yeah, this is the second time.
So it's
it lasted.
twice.
The first one lasted 100 days, and it ruined the business, and it hurt the bottom line in Hollywood and California. And I don't see. And the thing is, I think I have a clip about this. Maybe
I have a clip. I have a backgrounder. And
play the background and we'll talk about it.
This is from France 24 because they at least
why are we
at least they try to give us some valid reporting.
It is day one of the first Hollywood writers' strike in 15 years, and writers have certainly turned out in huge numbers. Hundreds of people marching right now in front of the Netflix headquarters in Hollywood, chanting slogans like "Corporate greed has got to go," "No contract, no script," and "LA is a union town." And that certainly seems to be the case. We've heard lots of support. Lots of cars, dozens and dozens of them, honking their horns in support of these writers as they drive by. These writers who are asking for several things, including better pay, streaming residuals, or royalties for when a show that they've been working on is then sold on to a streaming giant like Netflix, and also mandatory staffing. But that last point is the one that was really the major sticking point in negotiations with these entertainment companies, and that is what led to those talks breaking down last night. We're already seeing some consequences. Some of those late night talk shows like Jimmy Kimmel Live, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, all going into reruns starting tonight. And of course, the longer this strike goes on, the more consequences we will start seeing on the entertainment world here in Hollywood.
Yeah, I'd always loved this, except this time they're really screwed. They're totally screwed this time because they're not going to get anything they want. There's no residuals in streaming. They all accepted these deals like, oh, okay, well,
and they got bonused on them.
Yes, they got extra money up front.
Not that I'm not on the side of the writers, being a writer myself, I'm not in that union. But I will say this: they were giving them extra money because of the no residual situations from the streamers, Netflix and those guys. They were throwing money around like it was crazy. Netflix and Amazon Studios, but there were tons of money flying around. And my understanding is that these studios also expected this strike some years ago and have put so much stuff in the can, that they can float for a year.
Well, so there's a number of things, and I'm not against organized labor. I'm not against unions. I am a SAG.
I'm pro-union.
I'm SAG-AFTRA, I believe. Although I've never made enough money to get into the retirement fund. I don't even get money from them anymore. I used to get 12 cents from seriously. I would get like $1.05. I would get a residual check from Swamp Thing and Circus of the Stars also got me residuals for a little bit there. But part of it is, this per episode thing. And then, on streaming, if you would do Friends today, which had 30 episodes a season, it would have 8. So there's a per episode thing.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Everyone subscribed to these 8 episodes. In fact, even on network TV, there was one show called The Good Place, which was a funny show, but it was like 10. It varied. It wasn't even the same from year to year. It was 10 episodes, and then they take a year and a half off Because we'll get to, when we get 10 good episodes or 12 good episodes, we'll put another season together. And they go on and off. I never even watched. I liked that show, but I never even watched the last season. It was like a 2-year delay for it to come out because they've taken their time. I mean, come on. And Sid Caesar used to do like 40 shows a year, hour-and-a-half comedies, all original.
Wait, hey, we do 110.
We do 110, 3 hours
shows.
a pop.
Yeah. The writers, now you see, like, none of the late night shows, all those guys, they're worthless without their writer room. And the jokes are okay. But, they write more than the jokes. It's the questions. It's the interviews. It's all so incredibly phony and just bull crap. And I please, Writers Guild of America, members, don't write us and tell me, you don't know what it's about. Blah, blah. No, I don't care, really.
We have the list of what it's about. You sent it to me.
Yeah, it's a huge list.
One of our guys is involved in this strike, and he sent us a huge list of all the demands and all the counter proposals.
I put it in the show notes. Everyone can take a look at it. But, the world has changed. You turn on your speakers just
It changed. It changed for every writer. I mean, look at the magazine business. If you want to go back to the early days, like let's say when the magazine business was
You were
flourishing.
a millionaire back in the day. You were riding high in the hog. You had limo, 24-hour service. You had your money in a brown paper bag.
I did.
Can you turn your speakers down just a little bit? Just a tad. I'm hearing a lot.
And then if you, sure. Mm-hmm. And so if you go to back, let's say in the 70s, you go back to that, there was a period of time before that where there was called the short story market, where all these magazines like Collier's and all these used to publish short stories, and then there were quarterlies that would do stuff like that. That business, what short story writer do you personally know? I don't know of any.
But also, if you look at the business, Disney Plus, Netflix, Paramount, these guys are bleeding money. The whole thing was short-sighted. They all, we're going to get in the streaming business in the future. Yeah, maybe during the lockdown, there was some business, some future in it. But then that ended during COVID, and people aren't going back to the movies. It's a different world, and the free money train is over. It is over. So there's just not any money, speculative money that's going into these projects. Most companies are crowdfunding these days. I mean, by the way, speaking of bull crap media companies, Vice Media, finally, this thing is going out of business.
Oh, and then there's BuzzFeed.
No, screw that.
Buzzkill or whatever the hell the name of the thing was.
Vice Media, Bloom and I used to look at this thing all the time. Like, how are these guys doing it? They start as a magazine in Canada. Shane Smith, bullcrap artist, Gavin McInnes, who started Proud Boys and then ran around on his podcast with a dildo up his butt. Fine people. They started by hoodwinking Murdoch into a $70 million investment. But then they raised in total $900 million from Time Warner, from all these different companies. And they had no business model. They were an advertising company that made hip content. And then they actually bought an ad consulting company with 500 people. They built a 60,000 square foot facility in Brooklyn. And finally, it's like no one is dumb enough to put money into it. And now it's going out of business. It's like all of this was bull crap. It was built on bull. And that's what a lot of the streaming stuff. I'm sorry, writers and Spotify, who, of course, allowed Gimlet and Parcast to unionize under the WGA. So now the podcasts are affected by this. All these true. Yes. That.
I know about the unionization at Gimlet.
Yeah.
And some of the other efforts, but that's under the Writers Guild?
WGA East, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
that was also
That's crazy.
It was premised on bull, because you and I talked about this all the time. Like, the podcast model does not work with executive producers and line producers and editors. No, it works when one or two people do it themselves, and then maybe you're lucky enough to have an extra person, or like we do value for value. We make everybody a producer and give everybody credit for making the show and make everyone feel that they're part of the show. But no, they went all Hollywood. And then when the money dried up, well, start selling your Neumann mics, people. Now, I'm working off a $700 piece of gear here. They had $70,000 worth of gear.
Yeah, and your gear sounds better. In fact, as we talked about earlier before the show, I've always thought you should win an award, and I'm guaranteeing that you will.
And you know what? I'm going to snub the Academy.
It's not going to be from them.
It's going to be
Accepting on Adam Curry's behalf, Robert Downey Jr.
Something like that. I'm not going to go. No, but it's sad because I don't think there's going to be an agreement that is satisfactory for the writers who really just have to find. They should be doing In fact, I was just talking.
They are.
I was talking.
Are you kidding?
I was talking to my buddy who got kicked out of Disney.
Oh yeah, our friend.
Yeah,
I never met him, but yeah. I consider him a friend from afar.
Yes, and I have had dinner. I've stayed at his house, so we actually are friends.
Yeah, so you're buddies. You're true friends.
Yeah, and he, they still have on payroll because they couldn't actually kick him out because the whole division started to fall apart. So could you please stay?
That's not reported.
Well, yeah, I'm probably already going further than I should, but as we were talking. We agreed you cannot, Hollywood, they don't see it. They cannot go up against the number one non-union content producer in the world, which is taking all the money. And that is TikTok. TikTok is where all the money is. He agreed with me.
Yeah.
He said, they screwed it up.
It's funny. I mean, I hearken back to the 90s. When there was a crossover point, and this happens every so often, it's not observed well by the pundit class, and that was the crossover point where the computer game and console business was making more money than the movie business.
Hundreds of millions more, I would say.
Yes, they were making and profiting more than the movie business, and these crossover points take place all the time. And it's like when something crosses over, and then everything has to adjust once it happens. And Hollywood, from what I can tell, really has been very reluctant to adjust to anything.
Well, of course, because it's all been such a wonderful system. Like, I've guaranteed minimums, blah 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 blah, and they'll just look. I've been in Hollywood. Look, you've been in Hollywood. You know how it goes. It's a bunch of arrogant dicks, and everyone's in on the game. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of very talented people. Make no mistake, incredibly talented people. But but all of it is the fire leaves you. The fire. And how great is the writing? How great has the writing been? And let's just add to that and the streamers, but Hollywood, whatever you want, the content creation business. They are also captured by the magical artificial intelligence, and I think they truly believe that they can cut costs by using ChatGPT to build a bare bones script. These people are insanely stupid.
Absolutely correct.
They're insanely stupid. So this is another thing, and they're not going to give up on that. That's what the writers apparently also want, guarantees that exactly that will not happen. I think I have an article. Yeah, here it is. Hollywood writers demanding studios regulate AI so it doesn't steal their jobs. Now, of course it's going to steal your jobs. Yeah, how about this? Just people on TikTok are going to be the new millionaires. They're doing a great job.
A lot of them are already millionaires.
Yeah, they're going to create groovy stuff, and people will enjoy it. It'll be short form. Everyone's
horrible stuff.
Everyone's all jacked up, like 30 seconds. Blah, mega drug hits. But okay,
some of this stuff goes on forever.
Yeah.
I want to, since you brought up the AI thing with these guys, I want to bring up an AI clip.
Okay.
It's the only one I have, so we're going to talk about AI.
Okay.
There's Cigar and Crystal Ball. They have this podcast.
By the way, can I just say, I find her outfits odd. Now,
I only listen on audio, so I don't see what she's wearing.
Well, you and I as producers, so they have first of all, congratulations to them because where'd they leave? They left the Hill.
The Hill.
And everyone like, you idiots. And they did a pretty good job. And they crowdfunded stuff. And people
Yeah,
like
no,
what
they
they're
did.
doing.
I think of all the people that did a spinoff like that arrogantly,
Yes.
and with criticism, I think they did a great job. They have a working operation. Although, if you listen to their more recent podcast, they want to get more money so they can buy a big studio.
No, I heard that. Wait. The Curry Dvorak Consulting Group would like to make a statement. Don't do it. You're stupid. We just have to say, Leo Laporte, don't do it. Joe Rogan's studio is like a little space that he subleases from a fitness company in an industrial area of Austin. It's what you see is what it is. It's a small studio. You don't need big studios. You don't need to be. Don't go whatever you're doing now. The thing that you have, whether it's green screen or I'm not quite sure what it is. It's fine. Don't throw the money away. Would you agree, partner?
Absolutely, it's crazy.
What
in fact, unless you want to think you're going to turn into some, massive. This is the problem: is getting a big head instead of just pocketing the profits.
Stop! Shrink your head.
Shrink your head. So they're so big now that they have this couple whose name is Emily and Ryan. So every once in a while they have the show's theirs, and Emily's here talking about AI and how it's making an incursion, and she makes a comment in here I would have thought initially listening to her, because I've never heard these two before, that she's like cokehead. She sounds coked up, but in fact, when you listen to her, the whole podcast,
they're even doing Hollywood coke. Stop it!
You can tell she has a cold.
Oh, okay,
because you can hear her. You can hear it's anything but. She's not coked up. She has just got a cold, but she sounds terrible. Uh-huh. And here she is going on a little bit about AI, and she drops a little bombshell in here that I'm just a head shaker.
Oh my gosh. And that's what Hinton is saying. I mean, he's saying, if you think about what AI sees as increasing its power, what an algorithm might see as increasing power, it's cloning itself. It is going after other people that threaten its power. Just logically, you can understand how an algorithm would get from point A to point B. And that creates something that spirals out of human control very, very quickly. And so I am concerned about things like teenagers using AI and getting, basically sexually assaulted by AI. I think that's a huge concern.
Woo! Don't touch me there. Show me on the doll where the AI assaulted you. What is that?
Can you believe that?
Well, assault these days is just saying, like, hey, nice dress, and that's sexual assault.
Yeah, nice tits.
Ooh, stop it. I don't like the word tits. I don't. It's always bothered me. I don't know why.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Look within.
Thank you. Grasshopper shall do that. Well,
so this is like they're out of control in their analysis of AI.
Okay, luckily I have a few clips to talk about this. Yeah, well,
okay. I would have gotten more. This one I just thought was okay. I don't know if you could top that one, but you can, I'm sure, come up with some goodies.
Well, a couple things. Let's just, it's almost like, all these euphemisms. 99% of what people are talking about is not artificial intelligence. I'm sorry, 100%. There is no intelligence that exists outside of humans and mammals, I guess, or biological organisms. I think that's safe to say. So to say it's artificial intelligence, there is no intelligence. There's only copy paste, scoring things. None of this is true. And the emails we get from people, well, it's going to be AI is going to be great for people. Well, yeah, sure. We have all kinds of tools. Photoshop, if you want to call it, is AI. Photoshop does all kinds.
I agree 100% with this. What you just said. Photoshop is AI.
You said 100%. We have to rock against that. We have to rock against the 100%.
I only picked it up recently.
I know. I'm trying
And
to
unlike
break.
you, I won't be able to turn it off so quickly. So you're going to have to
I'm going to
call. But I appreciate being called out.
Yeah. So, that is not artificial intelligence. Transcripts, it's incredible that we use otter.ai and it costs $20 a month. And I throw the MP3 in there and like an hour later it poops out and it's recognized your voice. It tags you. Now, of course, half the time it'll spell your name Jahnsi, Johnsy, Dvorak. Sometimes it gets it right, but it's still, even identifying different voices is quite...
That's remarkable.
It's remarkable, but it's not artificial intelligence. We have a lot of this stuff. So what people are calling art... Now, Tina does all of the resumes for the kids, because this is what she does. She's very good at it. She also coaches. Here's how you want to ask for this. So there's money for this, and so one of the girls is up for review, and she wants to ask for some more money. And so Tina says, okay, I'll write this up. So no, I have something. I'll send that to you. You take a look at it. And she says to me, oh, wow, she really wrote something herself. And she's reading it to me. John, within 30 seconds, I'm like, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And then she went, oh, you're right. And then we could identify, there's some repetition of certain phrases. It's just ChatGPT. And that's not going to fly. I don't care how good it gets. It's just, it's not. So.
Well,
it's a good start.
To make it worse. I know there's tools coming.
Mm-hmm. Tools
that are just designed to spot this stuff.
Of course. Yes.
And so you just run it through. It's like the same thing, like the stolen papers that professors run it through
that
run
website.
it through the system. The computer goes both ways. It's like a double-edged sword. It cuts one way and it cuts the other. So you can't get away with this for long.
And you know what? I'll believe AI is real when it really can stop spam. Okay? And why isn't that the first application? Why isn't that the first
spam
one?
Phone calls, for that matter.
Oh, have you been? I've been getting these texts. I don't know, and it's been recent, so I'm not sure what happened. And it goes like this, and I bet you a lot of people are getting these. Hey, this number has been in my phone for a long time, but I really don't know who this is. Who are you?
Oh, I've not heard about this, but it's a great idea.
I get a lot of these. Let me see if there's more. It's like, hey, it's all variations of that. Let me see if I hadn't. I usually get rid of them. This one came in this morning, and it's not from. It's like 213 numbers or like known area codes, not necessarily some bullcrap one. But it's text messages, which is a bit concerning. I wish I could find another one of those. But it's always, how's the storm? Oh, how's the storm? Did it pass you yet? Oh, I don't know you. It's stuff like that. It's always like, hey, have
you done the follow up to find out what's going on?
No, I have a life. I have things to do.
You have to follow up.
I'm not going to follow up. All right, so then we have a big thing happened in AI world, because remember, we all have to be very, very afraid. Everybody who doesn't have an AI play, let's just call it what it is. That's how the venture capitalists talk about it. Do they have an AI play? No, Elon Musk does not have an AI play. So what does he have to do? He has to sign the joint letter to say, we need to stop 6 months so I can catch up and get my own AI play, get it funded. And now, oh no!
It's technology that could be superior to the human brain.
Okay, woo! France 24, go baby!
And one of its pioneers now says part of him regrets his role in creating it.
This is nothing better than the creator coming out and saying, oh.
75-year-old computer scientist Geoffrey Hinton says he quit his job at Google so he can independently share his concerns about AI technology.
What do you want to say?
I was going to say, because he's a forced retirement.
Get out of the company.
Which include fears over disinformation and stealing human jobs, but also go far beyond that.
Do you hear this? This is a trend. We heard the Writers Guild of America talk about stealing jobs. We're picking up on something. And now France 24 is talking about AI stealing jobs.
Which include fears over disinformation and stealing human jobs, but also go far beyond that.
What do we do to mitigate the long-term risks of things more intelligent than us taking control. Things like GPT-4 eclipses a person in the amount of general knowledge it has, and eclipses them by a long way. In terms of reasoning, it's not as good, but it does already do simple reasoning.
Okay, let's just break this down. He says it has more knowledge than any human ever has. Bull crap. I have Google.
And he also said it in terms of reasoning, it's not very good.
No, exactly.
And that's the other thing. They said, well, it can have more. In fact, I was thinking the same thing you just said, which is that we have never accumulated in our own brains the Encyclopedia Britannica, but we've always had the encyclopedia that we could look. It's like an extension. It's like a human extension.
Right.
So how's it going to really outdo us? Because all of those human extensions are the only thing that it has access to. It's not developing new stuff out of the blue.
Also, I think that as a human, I have Google Foo. I mean, I can search things and get answers that other people can't because I know how to input the queries. Oh, I'm great at a prompt query. I'm a prompt engineer. Douchebags. This is a whole new category of douchebag. I'm a prompt engineer. Oh,
Didn't you just admit to being one?
I am one, but I don't put it on my resume.
And given the rate of progress, we expect things to get better quite fast. So we need to worry about that.
Worry about it. It's getting better quite fast. Worry about it.
Can I ask you something?
Please.
Who is this guy?
This is the Google AI pioneer.
I never heard of him.
No, of course not.
Have you heard of him?
No, they don't even mention his name. AI pioneer. He's 70.
They do mention his name on and off again, but
he's 75.
If he's such an AI pioneer, how come I haven't heard of him? And he's old enough. He's 75. So he's old enough to have been part of that first AI go-round back in the 80s.
He took his absence when they knew they were going to kick him out because that's what Google's doing. They're getting rid of everybody. And he's out there now doing this to get his own. He wants money. It's like, how can I score some money? Oh, maybe if I warn about this, someone will pick me up as a, what's the word? An artificial intelligence, ethics guy, ethics professional. Bleh.
There'll be something like that. It's actually, that analysis is 100%.
Oh, you have to stop this.
I would try to stop it in mid-chat, and I decided to go through with it.
But I have no respect for you. So this guy is trying. This guy is clearly trying to garner up a gig.
It's just the latest warning that tech companies might be creating a monster they can't control. In March, after OpenAI released the latest model of its chatbot, GPT-4, more than 1,000 people from the tech industry, including billionaire Elon Musk,
which of course is always the mark of a smart man,
and Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak, signed a letter calling for a...
Wozniak dated Kathy, what's-her-face. He's not a smart guy. Remember that? Kathy Griffin. Do you remember he dated her?
Wozniak did?
Yes. So,
he's been married for a long time. He's a good guy. Everyone loves Wozniak.
Sure, but doesn't mean he's smart. That was a bad date.
And Apple co-founder Steve
you
Wozniak.
Just don't like Kathy Griffin for good reason.
Yeah.
Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak signed a letter calling for a pause on AI development while the risks are properly studied. While organizations like the OECD have issued guidelines, little AI regulation exists. The U.S. just launched a study of possible accountability measures in April, and the European Union has put forward an Artificial Intelligence Act, but the far-reaching legislation has yet to be passed.
So this is this is just another gambit, and I know you agree with me, so there's not even a discussion to be had. Silicon Valley tech companies are like, they have nothing. By the way, it costs some astronomical, obscene amount to keep the servers running for this no business model business they have. You can't advertise on ChatGPT. What are you going to do with that? How are you going to suck the information out of people? How are you going to suck them dry and
well, they're trying to
ads
get
in their face?
Right now, they're using a subscription model.
But who's going to pay for that? People don't pay for stuff. They won't pay for it. They won't. They're going to.
I agree.
And there's enough open source versions that you can even transcripts you can now run on your own computer. I just don't want to dedicate a machine to it. And I'm happy to just give it to someone else who improves it. I have no time to maintain it. So that's it's not a business. So now they have to involve the government. Oh, yeah. Well, regulation. Okay. So now we can be regulated, which means we have all the money, and then we can charge companies. They're moving away from the business to consumer model with this. And of course, they're using up more energy than all of Bitcoin put together. Let's make no mention of that. And even in the United States, of course, now we have to set up meetings. Let's have a meeting, everybody. This is from CNBC. This is Gina Raimondo. She's our commerce secretary, an AI genius, I say.
We also want to lead the world in AI. But we want to do it safely. Madam Secretary, you're part of this meeting that the vice president is holding tomorrow with...
Oh, Kamala Harris is holding a meeting with Gina Raimondo about AI. I would pay money to sit in that meeting.
Oh, I would like to be a fly on the wall.
I can't wait for the vice president to talk about AI. Please, Kamala, tell us.
They better bring the cameras and the crew. Yes. We want to see this.
We want that live.
CEOs of Google and Microsoft and OpenAI, and I'm curious what the goal is and what your concern level is around some of this technology.
The concern level is high. It's a challenge because on the one hand, the excitement level is high. When you think about the promise and potential of AI and what it means for advances in healthcare, advances in education, advances in business, as you say.
Healthcare, baby. Healthcare, because ChatGPT can fix you. Healthcare. It's the advantages. This is huge. The future is all ahead of us. There's a world of possibilities.
In healthcare, advances in education, advances in business. As you say, we're in the lead and we want to keep the lead. But it has to be done safely. It's an incredibly powerful technology. So we want to have a serious discussion with industry tomorrow will be one discussion among many that we're having with many stakeholders to try to figure out how we go fast but without breaking things.
Oh, wow. That's a great twist on Facebook's motto. Very good, Gina. So stupid. All right. I want to move off of this. I want to move you into some of your clips because I see what you have here. I think it is the news of the day, and we will have different takes on this. I will start with a short clip of Nigel Farage interviewing presidential hopeful and former President Donald Trump about the drone war.
Now, Putin, today they're saying there's been an attempted drone strike by the Ukrainians on the Kremlin. We don't yet know the full truth. Have you seen that story?
I have not seen it yet.
Okay, right. Well, that's
a big story.
They're quite small drones, but let's see what
big story.
The truth of it is. Yeah. There's a growing, I sense in America, unhappiness about the money that's been given to Ukraine. Yeah. Why does nobody talk about peace and peace negotiations?
So if I were president, and I say this, I will end that war in one day. It'll take 24 hours. I know Zelensky well. I know Putin well. I would get that ended in a period of 24
You can break that deal.
100%. It would be
100%.
Trump is even saying yes. Even Trump is saying it. 100%. 100%. 100%. I'm so disappointed that people do this. Okay, so let's talk about this drone. You got clips.
Yeah, this is the clips from Al Jazeera.
No,
so they have. So it's actually an interesting report.
Yeah.
Let's start and just go with it. I mean, I intended just to play this first clip, which is clip one.
Russia.
Oh, sorry.
But as I kept playing it's a long report, and I kept playing. Oh, I got to clip this. I got to clip that. So it turns out to be pretty long. Let's go with this. The setup.
Russia has threatened retaliation for what it says was an assassination attempt on President Vladimir Putin. The Kremlin says 2 drones were used in an attack on the presidential residence in the early hours of Wednesday. It claims Ukraine was behind it, but Kyiv strongly denies the allegations.
This is what the Kremlin says was an attempt on the life of Vladimir Putin. An object is intercepted by air defenses. Russia says it was a drone, one of 2 that officials say were launched by Ukraine in an audacious attack aimed at the Kremlin complex. 2 unmanned aerial vehicles were aimed at the Kremlin, an official statement reads. As a result of timely actions taken by the military and special services with the use of radar warfare systems, the devices were put out of action.
I think there's a backdrop to this, that there was a so-called drone which looked like an oversized RC aircraft with apparently with a block of C4 in it that didn't quite make it to Moscow and crash landed, and there's photos of it. I mean, it's sort of like one of those remote control planes that you see, at a demonstration day.
Yeah,
this is not a Reaper drone.
No, there's dipshit drones.
Drones, exactly. Exactly.
So then I said that's the report. That's pretty much all we need. But then it goes on. They start to do some analysis, and in this next clip, they have the Blinken clip that I've been trying to find, which is his, the world's worst analogy, and you'll hear it in here, and then I will talk about it for a second, because the guy doesn't seem to get the gist of this old analogy. Let's play clip 2.
So, and the Kremlin said that this alleged drone attack was a dry run, a preparation for May the 9th, when Putin will be vulnerable because his whereabouts are known in advance.
It is a theory that not everyone is convinced about.
I've seen the reports. I can't in any way validate them. We simply don't know. Second, I would take anything coming out of the Kremlin with a very large shaker of salt.
Okay.
What? A shaker of salt?
So when I first heard about the shaker of salt comment, I was trying to dig it up, and it turned out, luckily, it showed up in Al Jazeera. The analogy, of course, as you know, you've heard it, I'll take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's meaningless, because a grain of salt is nothing. It's a grain of salt. Who cares? But a shaker of salt is not meaningless. That's a lot of salt.
Yes, it sure is.
So what is he trying to say? Is actually saying that this is a big deal? Because that's what his analogy implies.
Well, I think what he's trying to say is it's Russian disinformation. We all know the Kremlin lies. But
No, that's what he's saying. He's saying that overtly.
Yeah.
But to use the analogy of a grain of salt to a shaker of salt, he's an idiot.
Oh, I know. He got this from ChatGPT. It was a ChatGPT suggestion. And I don't think it was Ukraine. I don't think it was something that it was probably just some kid on the outskirts of Moscow. I mean, this thing was nothing special.
Well, except for the C4.
Well, we don't know if this had C4 on it. We don't.
I thought you said
the first one. No, the first one. But that crashed way short of mine. But it doesn't matter. This is all, to me, it's all distraction. Let's see.
I agree. The clip 3 has got a laugh in it, so let's go there.
On a visit to Finland, President Zelensky denied Ukraine's involvement.
We don't attack Putin or Moscow. We fight on our territory. We are defending our villages and cities. We don't have, enough weapon for this.
He's begging for money again.
Yeah, sure. He got some. I think we gave him some more money on Wednesday.
That's a slippery way of begging for money. We had nothing to do with it, but in fact, we can't even afford it. We can't afford it. If you give us some money, maybe we'd do it.
Dude, we could crowdfund that drone. I mean,
this guy is unbelievable.
Wait until you hear my clips. He sure is.
Okay, so here we go with this is the final clip on the drone. It's the reaction clip.
Yet even as air raid sirens sounded in the Ukrainian capital, the mere possibility that Ukraine had struck a blow at the heart of Russian power was thrilling for some.
My classmates and I have been talking about this all day. It's very cool. I'm very joyful. It's lifted my spirits.
In its official statement, the Kremlin said it reserves the right to take retaliatory measures where and when it sees fit.
Well, of course they would say that.
So the Ukrainian students are all jacked up about this. Yeah.
I mean, you really believe that? This is propaganda. This is war propaganda.
Maybe, to a point, but There was somebody that wasn't like an actor.
Are the students in school? I thought that the Russian Russia was attacking Kyiv. Everyone has to hide because they're getting ready for the spring offensive. It's all propaganda. All the journalists are hooting and hollering up in Poland. They're all drinking, hanging out with the women of the night.
Well, that's what you do. Women of the night.
I don't know why I said that.
Women of the night.
All right, so let's get back. Let's get back to reality as we have to wind this war down. We have to wind this war down. We have an actual war not an actual war, but we have sales jobs. We have stuff to do over there in Philippines, in Taiwan, the China Sea. There's real money to be had, people. We've got this guy he wants tiddlywinks. There's no sales in these drones. No, we're not. We got to wind this down. So how do we do it? Well, let's crank up the old narrative of we're going to prosecute Putin, because it's not Russia, of course. We love the Russian people. It's all about Putin. So how do we do that? Well, we have to get him to the place where we have successfully prosecuted Putin before, and that is The Hague in the Netherlands. And nothing like doing a little ceremony on the eve of May 5th, actually, it was there May 4th, which is on the eve of May 5th. May 5th is Liberation Day in the Netherlands, a big deal. There's something very impressive the Dutch still do, and that is May 4th, 8 p.m., there's a minute of silence, and literally people stop their cars on the highway, get out, and will just stand there and be silent for a minute to remember the fallen of World War II. So, of course, we've got to bring this Nazi in, because the Azov Brigade is literally naming streets after Nazi heroes, and some of the Dutch are onto it now. There's people writing about this in papers saying, hey, why is this guy here on this day? But that would not be the message we get from Mark Rutte, and that is the way you pronounce it, M5M, Rutte, who is a unmarried, childless former HR manager at Unilever.
Hey,
yes?
How are they pronouncing it on the M5M?
Root.
Root?
Root. Huh. Jimmy Dore does it too. Root. Dude, call one Dutch person. Call me. Rutte.
Call you what?
Anything you want. So Rutte is an unmarried, childless former HR manager at Unilever. Somehow he has been the prime minister for, I think, 10 years now. No, maybe even longer. This is his fourth cabinet. Keep him in there. And he welcomes Volodymyr to The Hague.
Volodymyr, it has been now 434 days since you spoke a few simple words that resonated all over the world. And I say what you were saying then.
Sorry, I got to bust the Dutch guy. And it's called quote, I'll be quoting you, Rutte. I'll quote you instead of, I will say what you were saying then.
And I say what you were saying then. We are all here defending our independence, our country, and it will stay this way. That's what you said. And it would...
Those are riveting words. Whoa, my gosh. I'm so glad we're all in front of the Ukraine flag to hear those.
Regular Winston Churchill, that guy.
We are all here defending our independence, our country, and it will stay this way. That's what you said. And it would be an understatement to say that you've kept your word. The resolve and courage of the brave soldiers and citizens of Ukraine is without precedent in our lifetime.
Wow. Without precedent in our lifetime. There's a lot of people who were still around in World War II, dude, who you're about to celebrate. And I would say, there's some differences in World War II and what you're seeing in Ukraine. But okay.
And you yourself have become a symbol of what a country and...
country. Oh, country. I like the country. Nice country.
Have become a symbol of what a country and its people can do when they are fighting for their existence, their freedom, and their future. And we all admire you for that.
Yes. And by the way, everyone's in a suit. It's a nice reception. and he's got his trademark. What is that? Olive drab with a little logo in the middle, which is now that's his costume. You know, that little Ukraine.
Yeah, it's his costume. It's a tight-fitting T-shirt with sleeves. T-shirt.
He's got his costume on. He's like Star Trek costume. All right, now let's get into the meat of what we're really doing here. By the way, I think that this was organized by the State Department, the whole thing from beginning to end, and I think I can prove it. Our State Department.
When I had the privilege to address the members of the Rada almost a year ago, I said, we will stay with you every inch of the way.
As far as I'm aware, Ukraine, the Netherlands, most of the EU, most of the world uses the metric system. Why would you say every inch of the way unless it was written by the U.S. State Department?
Winner.
Seriously.
It could have been written by ChatGPT.
There you go.
A year ago, I said, we will stay with you every inch of the way. And let me assure you, Volodymyr, that we too are determined to keep our word.
Now, let's get to the meat of the problem here. What do we got to end this war, man? What are we going to do?
Because this is an unjust war against everything we stand for.
Now, this is also American State Department talking points, an unjust war. Since when is war just? Is it ever really just? I mean, maybe I'm...
I think you're onto something here. This is an interesting situation. It's quite likely that the State Department put this together.
The whole trip.
And not only that, but it's corny, which is classic Blinken.
Yes. The whole shaker, inch by inch. Exactly.
Step by step, slowly I turned.
Isn't inch by inch, isn't that the Robert De Niro speech in that football movie?
Inch by inch really comes from the Three Stooges, I think, or one of these.
All right, it's not a just war. It's not a just war. It's not fair.
Because this is an unjust war against everything we stand for. This is a war against freedom, democracy, and the rule of law in our part of the world.
Rule of law.
Yeah. It's actually, as we know, it's a war of aggression. Aggression.
That's why we stand with Ukraine.
By the way, the rule of law meme, blah blah blah, is very American.
Rule of law, of course.
Democracy and the rule of law in our part of the world. That's why we stand with Ukrainian people.
Yeah, the bastion of democracy, which is Ukraine. Mm-hmm.
And why you can count on our unwavering support.
Unwavering?
Russia cannot win this war, and it must be held accountable for all the crimes of aggression and the injustice.
There it is, the crimes of aggression. Now, we have to look at these euphemisms. The crime of aggression. So if I'm aggressive... that's a crime? If I'm aggressive in my speaking patterns, if I'm aggressive on the playing field, if I'm aggressive in my academic studies, that is a crime? They're literally calling the crime of aggression. Help me, John.
I don't know. You're on a roll.
Russia cannot win this war, and it must be held accountable for all the crimes of aggression and the injustice it is inflicting on the people of Ukraine day after day in this horrific war. So what better place to meet than here in The Hague, the legal capital of the world?
What?
In case you didn't know, The Hague is the legal capital of the world.
Oh, my God.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that where Miniature World is?
You know, Maduro Dome?
Is that what it's called?
Maduro Dome. Yeah, it's actually close. It's I think it's between The Hague and Rotterdam. Miniature World.
So
it's just quite cute, Maduro Dome.
Oh, it's dynamite. I would recommend anyone who has a chance to visit this little operation to do little to go do it. I've fascinated. Anyway, I'm with you on everything so far, but I've got my conclusion is different than yours.
By the way, the Maduro Dome is in The Hague. I'm sorry, it's not between The Hague and Rotterdam. Thanks to NPC. All right, what's your conclusion?
We're gearing up to actually do an invasion. boots on the ground American soldiers.
No, absolutely not. We're gearing up to end the war, and we're doing it with all these fluffy words. And the way we do it is we come up with a way to take the money that we confiscated, a legal way for the crimes of aggression. Then we prosecute Putin in the legal capital of the world, just like we did before.
So what better place to meet than here in The Hague, the legal capital of the world? Ever since the downing of flight MH17, we in the Netherlands have known that justice doesn't come automatically.
And this was MH17, the Malaysian flight, which they still...
the rigged report, never been released. The box has never been released. It's phony.
The same...
so they're just making The Hague look like a phony baloney operation when he brings that in.
And they brought in Bellingcat, the same intelligence operation who had all the proof of the Bucht rocket being shot from Russia. No, it was Ukraine. We did so much on it. We had so much coverage of that. So he's pulling these two together. And of course, it's just over now. Oh, no, we already know. It doesn't come easily, but we all know. It's as good as we basically have him hanging, Putin, for MH17, and we'll hang him for this too, so that everybody can take the money, final payout, everybody gets their cash. That's what's going on.
MH17. We in the Netherlands have known that justice doesn't come automatically. You have to have staying power.
Staying power?
What does that mean?
You need the
like
Viagra.
A deodorant commercial.
You need the Viagra of law. I don't know what kind of staying power you need. But that's weird.
Netherlands have known.
The State Department. Hey, I know. Let's put in something funny. Let's put in the staying power, just see if anyone catches it. Let's make that root guy say that. Make him say that. Okay, that's cool.
That justice doesn't come automatically. You have to have staying power. The Netherlands will do everything it can to ensure that justice is done for Ukraine, however long it takes, and however difficult it may be.
It's the term is whatever it takes, but okay.
Volodymyr, as you know, your visit to the Netherlands couldn't have come at a more symbolic moment. Every year, on the 4th of May, we remember the Dutch victims of the Second World War and all the soldiers who have given their lives since then for peace and freedom worldwide. Tomorrow, on the 5th of May, Liberation Day, we are fortunate that we can celebrate that we have been a free country since 1945.
And a lot of Dutch are pissed about this. Like, what is that guy doing here? This is our war remembrance for our people. The country was flattened. People ate sugar beets. They ate nettle soup with rocks. So no, they're not liking that. So Zelensky then goes to the International Criminal Court and does a little, and I'm not going to tell you what the backdrop, all these things have a backdrop, with their slogan. And there was a printed slogan, which I'm not going to tell you just yet, because the term is used in this report from France 24. Luckily, we don't have to listen to him talking. We have the F-24 lady to tell us kind of exactly what Volodymyr said in this speech at the International Criminal Court.
He also talked about the importance of justice, that there can be no peace without justice.
Literally on the background, it said, "No peace for Ukraine without justice." Does that sound familiar?
It's one of our lefty slogans from the United States.
No, George Floyd, no justice, no peace.
Yeah, there's a George Floyd. Yep.
So we made it.
Yeah, but it's been around forever. And it's always the same thing.
But now they've just turned it around and said there will be no peace for Ukraine without justice. So what they're saying is, and the way I see it, is we will call peace after we have justice. What is justice? That means we convict Putin. We don't have to throw him in jail. We have, just like MH17, we convict him, we take the money that we confiscated, and then we make peace.
He also talked about the importance of justice, that there can be no peace without justice, because unless issues are fully, properly resolved, they simply erupt again later on. For him, it is vital that Vladimir Putin is held to account at this court. He made no bones about that. And he also said that there should be stipulated in any negotiated peace agreement, that there must be no repetition of aggression.
Repetition of aggression. Oh, that horrible crime again.
By Russia towards Ukraine. So he is very clearly setting out his points. It is true that Ukraine might not get all it wants. And there is a lot of discussion about when this war might end and what might constitute some sort of acceptable settlement to Ukraine.
Settlement. It's about the money.
And there are murmurings that perhaps Ukraine should settle for the 2014 borders and forget about Crimea. He is saying, no way, we want Crimea back. We want our territory and we want our values, which are universal values, respected.
What? Ukraine.
So
well, that's new.
He's not going to get Crimea. He's just using that as a chip. We need universal values. Back to the 94. What did you say? 90? What's it? 94? Let me see.
They had a date. I forgot what it was.
Let me just check it. Was it this one? Hey. Oh, I have to rewind. There we go.
Forget about Crimea. He is saying, no way.
Yeah, was it here?
For the 2014 borders.
Oh, the 2014 borders. Okay. Which is kind of what Putin wants. So we get the 2014 borders back, which is the Donbass region, which maybe is just a demilitarized zone. And then you get your money, which is it's probably already been stolen by now. So everyone already had, Zelensky has billions in offshore bank accounts. This is coming to an end. So I do not think there's boots on the ground coming. And the reason for that is this next report, which is obvious what everyone's looking at. Because what do we have? We have a dinky toy dipshit drone flying over the Kremlin. Volodymyr saying we don't have this capability. No, because it's all over here, bro.
Well, the Taiwan-U.S. Defense Industry Forum was an event where people gathered mainly to discuss how to buy and sell more weapons. It lasted around 3 hours. It took place in a convention center in Taipei, and representatives of around 25 U.S. defense contractors reportedly attended. And days before, here in Beijing, the spokesman of China's defense ministry said that he was, quote-unquote, extremely concerned about the forum. He criticized the U.S.'s military-industrial complex and accused Taiwan's ruling DPP of inviting wolves into their homes. There's also been a few editorials that were published in Chinese state media criticizing the event last week. In the past few days, though, we haven't seen much new. This Wednesday morning, though, we have recorded an uptick in Chinese military activity in and around the Taiwan Strait, and it is a little bit too early to say if this has a direct link to that event or not. What I can say, though, is that the forum isn't really much of a big deal if you look at the bigger picture. The U.S. has already sold tens of billions of dollars worth of weapons to Taipei since 1979, and earlier this year, Washington approved the sale of $619 million worth of weapons, including F-16 fighter jets to Taipei. That was the biggest sale of 2023 so far. So these activities aren't going to stop anytime soon. These deals do come, though, as Beijing has been ramping up pressure, military and political pressure on the self-ruled island in recent years.
So we'll do whatever it takes for Ukraine, but the F-16s, they're going to Taiwan. Biggest sale of the year. This is it. This is the bonanza. They don't give a crap about Ukraine.
We're putting boots on the ground. That's why Susan Rice quit.
She's running Mike Obama's campaign, bro.
Whatever it takes is a term that keeps coming up. And the only way Biden's going to stay in office, he thinks, is if he gets feet on the ground, because that's the way Americans always think, well, you're in a conflict. We can't abandon our president now.
Yes, I read the newsletter, and that is true.
And you didn't send an edit.
No, I'm sorry. I was out doing important things. There was nothing to edit. It was fine. I didn't see any mistakes. But I'm sorry. You're right. I got distracted, and that was it. I was prepping for the show. That is certainly a playbook American presidents have used, but he is being taken down. He's being taken down by the Democrat Party. He's a marked man. There's no way, and they're just enlisting the Republicans now what is wrong with this? What's wrong with this clip now? Why won't this play? Let me see. Hold on.
I want to mention something. I did get a note from one of our producers who's in the Army who said that he's over there. Yes. And he says the reporting about soldiers in Ukraine already is not being handled at all by the mainstream media. And I'm telling you, something's up.
Hold on a second. I have it here. Oh, this is really weird. This clip, let's go. This whole Grassley thing. Oh, I wonder what happened to this clip. You've heard about this? Here we go. Well, let's see if I play it this way. Maybe this will work. Let me see.
Senator, I know you've also just issued a statement.
Here, listen to this. I don't know why it's not playing in my regular system. Here we go.
Senator, I know you've also just issued a statement on you as well as your colleague James Comer demanding the FBI record on alleging this criminal scheme involving then Vice President Biden. This congressional subpoena, you say, seeks a specific FBI document. Senator, thank you for jumping on with us. What can you tell us?
Well, I will only add to what you say that this comes from credible and unclassified whistleblower disclosures of this possible criminal activity when Biden was vice president, and we want this information. And there's a subpoena going to be or is issued now, and it really boils down to my traditional oversight of government. Particularly see the executive branches doing the work that they're supposed to be doing. So the Justice Department, the FBI needs to come clean to the American people what they did with the document, because we know the document exists from very credible whistleblower information that we got. We really need to know what steps did the Justice Department and FBI take to investigate and to vet the document to determine if it's accurate or not. And did the Justice Department and the FBI follow normal investigative procedures, or did they let political calculations interfere?
So it's a double whammy, which is, of course, what Obama does. Obama is run by the CIA, so we blame the FBI and we get Biden out for an actual crime. Not something his kid did. No, for an actual crime on U.S. soil. This is a setup, and you called it. You called the takedown of Biden. Now you're waffling.
And he's fighting back, and he's going to fight back by sending troops to Ukraine. That's a way he's going to fight back.
Wow,
he knows what's going on.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, but the military-industrial complex, they don't want any part of it.
They're just looking at their bank accounts.
They're all in Taiwan with the ladies of the night.
Well, that's more money. It's just more money. And the F-16s, who gives a shit? Those things, you got to phase those things out and start selling the expensive F-35s.
The dog that don't fly.
It flies.
So meanwhile, while all this is going down, in 2023, it's unbelievable, but there's still a whole country that will stop dead in its tracks to watch an old dude with an old bag get in a golden coach and be turned into the king.
Anti-monarchy protesters in the UK are under close watch ahead of the coronation. The British Home Office has issued a warning letter saying planned peaceful protests on Coronation Day will be firmly blocked.
I love planned peaceful protests. In the U.S., those are cool even during COVID. There, they will be blocked.
Strong measures are in place to prevent any disruptive activity. A new law will enable 12 months imprisonment for protesters blocking roads, airports and railways. A letter from the Home Office's Police Powers Unit says the law has been brought to prevent disruption at major sporting and cultural events. Blocking protests of the kind climate activists have unleashed. The law also lays down 6 months in jail and a fine for protesters locking onto other objects, including buildings, as a mark of protest.
Wait,
this is great.
Wait, climate activists?
Oh, yeah, the climate activist, even though he's the climate guy.
He is like a climate nutball.
But these are
They should be pleased as punch that this guy's getting in.
No, but that's because they're bull. They're bull. They're bull. By the way, the members of the public have been invited to swear their allegiance to the king. They have, here it is. People around the UK and abroad will be invited to say the words, "I swear I will pay true allegiance to your majesty and your heirs and successors according to the law, so help me God."
Locking onto other objects, including buildings, as a mark of protest. It gives police powers to stop and search protesters if they suspect that they are planning to cause chaos. Anti-monarchy group Republic described the letter as very odd. The group has been planning protests on Coronation Day. Their banner is to read, "Not my king." Reports say other units like climate group Extinction Rebellion have been sent similar letters. Many groups have hit out at what they call sudden action by the Home Office. They call it a restriction of freedom of speech and right to a peaceful and legitimate protest.
Well, of course, the UK is a speech-free zone, man. As in, you can't use any.
Yeah, go to this corner, Speaker's Corner.
Remember, I went there when Tina and I were in the UK. There was nobody there.
I've been there a number of times. I stay at a place that's nearby when I'm in London.
But we were there more recent than you.
Probably.
Yeah.
There's never been anybody there. First time I was in there in London was in 1973, and there was nobody there.
I was there in I was 15, so what would that make me? 76? My dad took me, and we went to Speaker's Corner. I was very impressed. And there was, one or two guys standing on the corner there talking some
usually
snack.
Socialist.
Yeah. but you can't say anything on social media. You can't do anything there. Anything. And now it's like, oh, you want a peaceful protest? No. 6 months in jail.
No.
Peaceful protest? No peaceful protest for you.
Not happening. Now, if we're going to talk about this topic, and I want to mention here that I've been listening to some more podcasts than usual.
Yeah.
They spend hours on one topic.
Oh, the Royals?
We're on, one topic.
Yeah.
We've already on our fourth topic here.
Yes,
so let's go to, so now I've got NPR's decided to become the front man and promoter of Camilla.
Really? Really? The horse face.
Do you want to listen to a report that is so disgusting? It's like a hagiography just over the air of Camilla and the whole setup, the whole thing. It's to me, it's remarkable.
I think, yes, I do, of course. It feels to me like this is very wrong. Certainly the NPR listening audience, I believe that the NPR audience is Lady Di fans. And if you're a Lady Diana fan, which I would say I was a fan. I mean, I disagree with the whole story. Poor princess. No, she was a media whore, and she liked it, and that eventually got her killed. But how she was treated versus Camilla. Camilla she is Beelzebub compared to Lady Di.
Well, we're going to hear the update on this because we have one of the key experts in pushing
who's that?
Narratives coming on. But let's go with Camilla 1 NPR.
Over the past several decades, the one-time Camilla Parker Bowles has been known as many things.
By the way, I think we should all go by our full middle names, Adam Clark Curry and John Charles Dvorak and Camilla Parker Bowles.
Of the rakish Brigadier Andrew Parker Bowles, girlfriend of the heir to the throne, but most of all, the other woman in what turned out to be the not-so-fairy tale marriage of Charles and Diana. And this Saturday, she will officially have a new title, Queen. Tina Brown wrote the Palace Papers inside the House of Windsor, and she's on the line to talk with us about Camilla's winding journey. Tina, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much.
For Americans who are not obsessed with the royals and who might know Camilla mainly for her role in the breakup of King Charles's, then Prince Charles's first marriage, remind us of her background separate from Charles.
This is so not left, this obsessed with the Queen, obsessed with the royals, obsessed. It's something that all American women, for some reason, get a day off from being political, and they can all be obsessed. Oh, I love the hat. I love the coach. It's a fairy tale. It's weird.
Now, this particular presentation I find to be completely offensive. And they bring in Tina Brown, who is famous, and she's like I don't know if she's
a royal watcher. A royal watcher.
Well, I mean, she's the one who started Vanity Fair. She's a very famous editor. And you bring her in to do a hatchet job of some sort or some professional, not a hit job in this case, but a flattery job. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to be re-educated about the greatness of Camilla.
Now,
so you're way off with that analysis of yours. That's old. That's the old analysis.
Now,
the new analysis.
Hold on, I want to ask you.
Her.
I want to ask you something. Well, of course, this is we have a special relationship between the U.S. and the U.K. So every person who has authority to speak of the royals has to have had to be a friend of someone or been at parties. So do we know what her connection was? What Tina Brown's connection was to the royals?
If you go to her wiki page and start looking at it, you'll see there's some deep connection to Kingsmen or something. Who knows? Let's go to part two of these clips.
All right. Camilla comes from a very upper-class squirearchy kind of a background. Her father was a major, a very, very extremely well-regarded veteran hero, actually, in the Second World War. Her mother was an aristocrat. So she always was raised in the extremely sort of aristocratic milieu of a country debutante, if you like, on the Sussex Downs. So her circle was always extremely upper-class, bumping up against royals in every conceivable shape and form.
I've always thought of Charles as sort of a stiff, kind of awkward person, although he's grown into his role over the years. What is her reputation?
What does this NPR lady know? I thought he was always a little bit stiff. But
no, this is like scripted. This is so scripted. It's almost like an advert, one of those phony baloney ads. It's like it's almost like an advertisement.
Is she referring to
a native ad?
Is she referring to the time when we had the leaked phone call of Prince Charles saying to Camilla, "I wish it was your tampon"? Is that what she means, really? Then he kind of grew into his role?
Conceivable shape and form.
I've always thought of Charles as sort of a stiff, kind of awkward person, although he's grown into his role over the years. What is her reputation or the public sense of her as a person?
Listen to this.
Always wildly attractive, tremendously earthy, fun.
Earthy.
Absolute catnip to men at all times. Camilla really was. And indeed, her brother and sister were very appealing too. They were known as the sexy Shands because the Shand family, she was, Camilla Shand. They were a very appealing country family, always the sort of toast of every debutante party and so on. So she was a very appealing woman and she could have really married anyone. She was definitely extremely popular on the sort of, the single woman circuit.
Well, you say appealing, but
who else did she date on the single woman circuit? Who else?
They present this, and then of course her next commentary is kind of different. Mm-hmm. She presents her as like some hottie back in the day, and the toast of the town, and her and her siblings, and so that she's developing this narrative that is just, it's hard to believe.
Let me finish this clip. There's 22 seconds left. Hold on.
Definitely extremely popular on the sort of, the single woman circuit.
Well, you say appealing, but there was a point where she was one of the most hated women in Britain. I believe the year after she married Charles, which was 2005, a poll for the Times of London found only 21% of the British public would be happy to have her as queen. But last year, just a few days after Queen Elizabeth died, a different poll showed that 53% of the British public thought she'd do a good job in her new role. How did she manage that turnaround?
I don't see any dating history of her on the Wikipedia. But she did launch the Big Bone Walk campaign, whatever that is.
Wow. Okay, so that was clip what?
Yeah, clip 2. We're at 3.
Okay, well, let's go with clip 3 because now we get the WTF clip.
Well, first of all, that's the reason she was so unpopular was really because she was always seen through the prism of being, the usurper of the adored Princess Diana. So, Diana used to call her the Rottweiler, and, she was not a glamour girl, Camilla, at any point. I mean, part of her appeal is that this is a woman who likes to wear...
Wait, I thought she was the hottie on the...
She said... right there that she was never the glamour girl at any point.
She's the Yoko of the Royals, man. Come on.
Now, wait a minute. So just the clip before this, she's going on about she was a hottie and she was the queen of the debutante.
Could have married anybody. Yeah.
Could have married anybody, blah, blah, blah. And now she's never been anything but a Rottweiler or whatever that was.
I can't believe we're doing a whole segment on this. But
this is just deconstruction of NPR.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Anyway, onward.
You know what? Elon Musk is right. They don't deserve to have the at NPR
I'm
on
in
Twitter.
total agreement.
And, she was not a glamour girl, Camilla, at any point. I mean, part of her appeal is that this is a woman who likes to wear comfortable shoes that, because she doesn't like to get bunions.
Comfortable shoes because she doesn't like to get that's hot on the dating scene. She's walking around in Crocs.
That's a great question. She wears comfortable shoes because she doesn't like to get bunions.
I'm telling you, that's literally in a world where women wear comfortable shoes. This is horrible.
Shoes that, because she doesn't like to get bunions. She has gardener's hands in the sense that, rather...
Gardener's hands! That's... Oh, my God. I met this chick. She's so hot. She's wearing Crocs, and she's got bunions, and she's got gardener hands, man. All, like, crooked and crap. Oh, I can't wait to bag her.
She has gardener's hands in the sense that, rather dirty fingernails from her plunging into amongst the, the greenery. A real kind of dog walker covered in dog hairs. She's not a glamour woman.
Wow! All right. Just because, I don't know why, I have to give this to you just right now.
The clip of the day. That is,
wow. Wow. NPR.
I'd love to get clip of the day after you're complaining.
This is horrible. Tina Brown, wow. All I can say is wow. I've said it too many times already. Man.
It's unbelievable. I know. So here we go with the UGG clip. This is clip 4.
And unfortunately for her, people knew nothing really about her because she was so very, very private. Her friends knew she was this extraordinarily attractive and appealing woman. But, in terms of the public feeling about her, they saw her through Diana's eyes, which was usurper. And she had to have that stigma. And the press went after her with such viciousness. I mean, the really appalling sexist comments about Camilla. I mean, they used to call her, old bag, old trout. I
have never heard old trout. I think that's a winner show title.
Such viciousness. I mean, the really appalling sexist comments about Camilla. I mean, they used to call her, old bag, old trout.
What's worse? I mean, she called her a lady with gardener hands, a dog lady. How can old trout be bad? This is NPR, man. Crazy.
Press.
They're out of control.
They are.
After her with such viciousness. I mean, the really appalling sexist comments about Camilla. I mean, they used to call her, old bag, old trout. I mean, there was even a dish named after her as Haddock Parker Bowls. I mean, just the rudest thing. And to the point that she used to joke to Charles and sign her letters to him, "Your devoted old bag, Camilla." Because she'd been called it so often.
Sounds like she was a good sport about the abuse.
Yes, she had a great sense of humor. That was part of her strength.
So do you think over time the public has forgiven her and it thinks, look, this is a legitimate relationship, it's a legitimate love between these two, and with time healed how the public felt about her?
Well, yes, because she's now been a working royal for 20 years, actually, really, or nearly 20 years. I mean, as wife of Charles, there has been an acceptance. I mean, in some ways, because Charles now becomes king so late, and she's a woman of 75 after all. She's now become sort of the nation's grandmother and is sort of on her way to becoming sort of a national treasure. So having kind of getting the reward, as it were, so late has really been beneficial to her, because earlier I don't think the public would have accepted it. But they're beginning to see that she's a very hardworking, very gracious, humorous, unpretentious woman, actually, who has definitely improved Charles's life and has really transformed him into being an unapologetically happy man.
Oh, he looks so happy, doesn't he?
Now, yeah.
Wow.
Now,
NPR should be ashamed of themselves. Don't donate to NPR.
No, give us the money.
Yeah, really.
So I get this last clip, and I guess I keep listening to this thinking, there's got to be something, someone, some talent, what happened here? Why am I listening to Tina Brown doing shtick and then also trying to be so complimentary in some sort of a propagandistic way? There must be a rationale. There must be something. Here it comes in clip 5. See if you can find it.
In Prince Harry's very popular recent memoir, he was very critical of her. And I suppose, like any blended family, let's call it, the Windsors have some complicated relationship.
Is that a racist comment, blended family? Is that because Harry's wife is black?
I did not catch that.
Is it like people of color? Is that what they mean? Blended?
Interesting. Good catch.
Let's just call it blended. Racist.
In Prince Harry's very popular recent memoir, he was very critical of her. And I suppose, like any blended family, let's call it, the Windsors have some complicated relationships to navigate. But he accused her of feeding the press negative stories about him so she could get better press. Is that likely to contaminate how Brits feel about her?
Well, I think that there was a period when Charles, to really rehabilitate both his own image and that of Camilla after the death of Diana, hired a quite resourceful and, shall we say, sophisticated press secretary who was all about making her reputation better and making Charles's reputation better. Harry felt strongly that he and William were sometimes thrown under the bus for the sake of their father and for Camilla's PR. You know, I think that Harry also does very much see that through the furious, lens of being the son of, the beloved Diana, his wonderful mother. The only real misery in her life was this figure, Camilla. So it's not really unlikely that Harry would feel so strongly about it because all his life he was raised to think of her as the enemy.
The PR woman, the talented PR woman is still working for them. And Tina Brown was, I guess she had to mention it because she is
friends with her. She's friends.
And so she mentioned it. And the next thing I'm thinking, this whole thing is a setup. The PR woman arranged it. This is just a hagiography kind of thing. You probably paid Tina straight from the royal budget.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, and
this is a scam.
And I think NPR jumped on it because they want some of that Harry and Meghan juice. Because that's been very successful. It's been very profitable. Their Netflix show has been, there was one of the top viewed Netflix shows ever.
Yeah.
So they're just going for some cheap ass ratings with a cheap couple and a cheap ass coach.
It's just cheap ass.
It's cheap ass. It's just cheap ass. One big cheap ass thing. All right, I got to lighten the mood here for a second. I need to tell you a little story.
I thought that was pretty light.
Oh no, but I'm going to go light into heavier stuff, but through a more modern conflict. So the old rockers are still out and about, and Gene Simmons, I don't know what he's doing, but he was like, hey, if you don't get the COVID shot, you should die. So Gene Simmons is a dick. Gene Simmons is a dick. But Paul Stanley of Kiss, he's the guitar player. He did something very controversial. Now, these guys are all, Stanley's got to be almost 70. These guys are all up there. But I know them all, and they're interesting dudes. But they're still playing the Connecticut Fair or whatever. Kiss probably can still draw big audiences. And he posted about trans-Maoism, or as we call that's what we call it. But in general, it's about transgender children. About gender affirming care. We've talked about this. He says, my thoughts on what I'm seeing. There's a big difference between teaching acceptance and normalizing and even encouraging participation in a lifestyle that confuses young children into questioning their sexual identification as though some sort of game, and then the parents in some cases allow it. There are individuals who as adults may decide reassignment is their needed choice, but turning this into a game or parents normalizing it as some sort of natural alternative or believing that because a little boy likes to play dress up in his sister's clothes or a girl in her brother's, we should lead them steps further down a path that's far from the innocence of what they are doing, with many children who have no real sense of sexuality or sexual experience caught up in the fun of using pronouns and saying what they identify as. Some adults mistakenly confuse teaching acceptance with normalizing and encouraging a situation that has been a struggle for those truly affected and have turned into a sad and dangerous fad. Well, slow clap, Tiffany pen tap for Paul Stanley. This is good, right? So, yes, okay, Paul. Of course, and that's just a tweet. Now, the world comes to an end. Oh, no. Oh, boy. Paul Stanley. What does he say? Now, parallel to this, a few weeks ago, I didn't mention it on the show because Dee Snider is a drip. And, Dee Snider is the lead singer of Twisted Sister. They pretty much only had one hit, We're Not Gonna Take It. And I'm sure that he wrote it. I don't know who else. I should have checked that. Who else wrote the song? But when you have a song like that, you can, you get your royalties, and the song is played over and over and over again. It's played in venues. It's played all over the world. It's played as an anthem for all kinds of stuff. It's one of those hits that you could. It's like writing White Christmas almost. The money just always comes in, and you can always dress up with the eye makeup, get your glam on, get your high heels on, because that's what Twisted Sister was. The name Twisted Sister, and you can always just do gigs. You can all you have to do is have 5 songs, and you do We're Not Going to Take It 3 times, and that's our show. Good night, Connecticut. I mean, and I'm happy. Now you will remember, this must have been 2010, 2011, maybe, yeah. Howard Stern interviewed me for Sirius XM, and I made a pitch to Howard Stern. I said, hey, I'm authorized, which I wasn't, but we knew we could get the money. I said, but I'm authorized to offer you, Howard Stern, $100 million to leave Sirius. I think his contract was up for renegotiation, to leave Sirius XM, come over to Pod Show, and we'll make a podcasting star out of you. You remember this?
I do remember this.
Yeah. In fact, we had a big argument after this interview because you said it was a horrible interview, and then you didn't mention. Oh my God, we had a real argument.
You got all bent out of shape with my commentary.
You said that it was a horrible interview, and I did not mention No Agenda once, and I was bad. To me, yes, not mentioning No Agenda is a horrible interview, period. Right. But it was the first moment that you really hurt me, and then I said some really hurtful things to you, and it was not a great moment for Adam. But also, you were a total dick. But after that,
but I am a total dick.
This is what I realized. That was the moment that I'm like, oh, okay.
No, but go on.
Okay,
no, but
Kara.
go ahead,
okay, Kara. Tina's even doing this now. Anyway, so like a week later, Dee Snider calls me. Hey, Adam. Hey, man. Wow, it's great. I heard you on with Howard and blah, 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 Howard. And so this podcasting, like, cool, tell me about it. And so I say, oh, yeah, man, we have this value for value model. Yeah, but what about the money? Can you pay me to do a podcast? I'm a great podcaster. I can be really good. When I'm on Howard, I'm killing it. I always kill it. And
who is this?
Dee Snider from Twisted Sister. The lead guy, the glam guy, the glamour guy.
Yeah.
And he's calling me, and he's like, he smells money. He's a money whore. Hey, man. Oh, yeah. I'm always on Howard, but I kill, but I can do a better job than Howard. I can do a great show better than Howard. I'm Howard. I'm always on Howard. Howard loves me. I'm great. I said, no, well, this is for Howard, the money. You're not Howard. Oh, man, come on.
He's not Howard.
And so it was really...
You're not Howard.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Well, that's what you... Yeah, well, it's like...
Well, anyway, I was like, Dee Snider is a dick, is what I thought. That's what I recall from this conversation. What a dick. So a few weeks ago, when more of the, here comes a euphemism, or not even a euphemism, anti-trans legislation, meaning... Tennessee doesn't want kids to be at drag shows in public places, minors. No, it seems like a normal idea, but that is now anti-trans legislation. They want to get rid of us. They want to wipe us from the earth like the Jews. They're doing the same thing to us they did to the gays. This is all over the news. And he comes out and he says, this is crazy, this anti-trans legislation, because I can't even do my show in Tennessee because it could be seen as a drag show. Because, he dresses up, puts on the purple eyeshadow, fingernails painted. He's got the high heels on. But, he has one song. It's like watching a freak show. It's like, okay. So he's trying to jump, because this is what he is. Hey, man, I'm as good as Howard. Hey, man, I'm as good as all the trans shows. I can be great at a drag show. I'm great.
God.
So you understand?
You don't like this guy.
No, I don't. But
I think you've made it clear.
But you understand what he's doing is he's trying to set himself up with the popular movement.
He's jumping on the band. It's called bandwagon.
Bandwagon. Now, remember, He has,
and the other guy that you mentioned earlier that had the commentary on Twitter when he finished it off by saying it's a fad, this fad thing, and I think that's correct. I think this is a fad, and it'll come and go. It'll go eventually.
Yeah, which is exactly why a D. Snyder jumps on the fad. He's like, oh, here's a fad I can get in on. By the way, I've got a great song for the trans community. We're not gonna take it. And I would like to say, one of the best glam rock songs ever. No doubt about it. Great song. What is it now? 40 years of children have used this as their rebellion song. Nothing wrong with that. But that's what you got, bro. That's all you got. And now you're jumping on the trans fad bandwagon. But then all the rock guys are going, hey, D. Snyder, no, we're not on board with that. We're going to Bud Light your ass, man. We don't like this. No. You can have that song. We'll rock out to you, but we're not on board with the trans stuff. Not the way it's being portrayed. So he then, idiot, I've got to adjust everything. What am I going to do? So he then tweets something to Paul Stanley. And this is now the subject of some great controversy. This is local news from San Francisco.
The San Francisco Pride is distancing itself from Twisted Sister's D. Snyder after the singer defended anti-trans tweets made by former Kiss singer Paul Stanley.
I love that this report, by the way, is going to be my evergreen. Nothing like this effeminate gay guy doing this report about these two old rock guys. And this is peak trans bullshit.
This is a bit confusing, but let me start with Stanley's tweet, which was sent on Sunday. And in a nutshell, it criticizes parents who accept their children who are questioning their gender identities. So here's what happened with Snyder. Snyder saw this tweet, retweeted it, and added this. You know what? There was a time where I felt pretty too. Glad my parents didn't jump to any rash conclusions. Well said, Paul Stanley.
So, are you still with me? You still with me? What's going on here in this saga?
Well, it's getting funny.
So now Pride San Francisco is mad. They're mad, and there's a reason for it. It was all secret. We didn't know this was happening behind the scenes, but in D. Snyder's infinite wisdom and his never-ending quest to jump on the latest fad, whether it's podcasting or pro-trans or anti-trans, he now screwed up so bad that the trans Pride community is mad.
And here's where Pride comes into this conversation. Pride had been set to announce Twisted Sister's song, We're Not Gonna Take It, as the official anthem of Pride 2023.
So this is money in the bank for D, to have the whole Pride community adopting We're Not Gonna Take It. This would blow life into that song. This is another $100,000 a year. Easy. Because he wrote it. He owns it. This is his moneymaker. Shake that moneymaker. But he pissed off the wrong people.
Joining us now with the latest on this saga is Suzanne Ford, the executive director of SF Pride. Hi, Suzanne.
Are you ready for Suzanne?
No.
Good morning, Reggie.
So,
How are you?
Full disclosure here.
All right.
You were ready to roll out with D. Snyder interviews with the media. It was under embargo, but in a few days you were going to announce this partnership with D. Snyder and with this song. So what was your reaction when you saw this tweet?
So I'm just going to be brutally honest here, just because you don't have video. He may have transitioned fully, but this is a dude. Sharon, Rachel, whatever his name is. And the mannerisms, it's a dude. He could be in Twisted Sister. So the whole thing is just blowing my mind now. But the business of it is, D. Snyder has screwed himself so badly with this.
It made me sick. We were on the cusp of making this announcement. D. Snyder was going to appear on the main stage at SF Pride, and he was going to be in the parade as a celebrity grand marshal. And of course, we cannot stand by his statements. We have to stand up and say that was wrong, and we had to end our association with him.
How did this begin? Did Dee Snider approach you and Pride and offer the song?
Well, we'd been looking for a way to stand up to all this hate out in the country, the anti-trans legislation, the anti-queer legislation. And
well, anti-queer legislation, this is new.
What specific anti-queer
I don't
legislation?
know. I don't even know what it is. We can't even define queer.
Yeah, what is it?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, we'd been looking for a way to stand up to all this hate out in the country, the anti-trans legislation, the anti-queer legislation. And we were looking for a slogan. And our PR team, I said, this is what we need to say. And they said, well, why don't we just say we're not going to take it? And that started the process. And we did reach out to their people. And Dee was great. He called me and said, hey, you can use this song. That's what this song should stand for. And then, of course, he preempted that with his statements supporting Paul Stanley.
Have you talked to Dee since this tweet came out?
I did. I had a painful discussion with him yesterday.
Painful.
I think he realizes that he was wrong. He thought he was taking a moderate stance. When it comes to self-identification for trans people, there's no moderate stance. We need to believe our trans kids when they tell us about their gender.
Okay, there it is. We need to believe our trans kids when they tell us about our gender. Okay, let's hear from one of the trans kids, Katie Lennon. And Katie Lennon tells her story.
It's like many children and teens today, I identified myself as transgender for years. And when I started to feel confused and ashamed about my developing body, I asked everyone in my life to call me by a new name and use male pronouns to refer to me. So in other words, I went through a social transition from female to male. Everyone in my life immediately affirmed my new identity, either out of full support for it or just to stay neutral and not cause any issues. But the constant affirmation, both active and passive, solidified me in my transgender identity. No one meant to lock me into an identity that would later leave me broken, ashamed, and more confused than before. They were really all just being nice. But the social transition eventually wasn't enough, and I soon felt I needed to take testosterone. And when that wasn't enough, I had a double mastectomy. And when that still wasn't enough, I had a total hysterectomy, including the removal of my uterus, cervix, fallopian tubes, and both ovaries. There's no point of contentment during a gender transition. We get fleeting moments of euphoria, but ultimately one step leads straight into the next. And I thought that in the end I could really become a man, but all I became was a mutilated and abused version of my old self. Social transition is a big deal, and we're lying when we say that any of this is reversible. This is a big decision with lifelong consequences, and New Hampshire doesn't even require that parents be involved. If the roles of mother and father don't include authority over the emotional, social, and physical future of their children, the roles no longer mean anything. Like me, transgender-identifying youth have a high risk for depression. The Trevor Project, which is an LGBT advocacy group, reports that 45% of LGBT teens have seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year. More than half of that number is transgender-identifying youth. Teachers and school administrators are mandated reporters, and if a child is suspected to be 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than the other students his age, his parents have a right to know.
So this is all coming from the schools. We've discussed this, and there's a slogan that I learned the other day, win the campus, win the world. That's what's going on here. And even Bill Maher is now seeing this for what it is, what we identified correctly when we first went down this road of what is happening with transgender activism and removal of parents' rights, allowing children to be literally captured. I have just story after story.
Make it captured by the state.
Captured by I'll read a little bit of this, one of our producers. He's from Colorado. I think you probably saw this note as well. I've been below the radar for the past 3+ years because I've been living the COVID trans Maoist nightmare with my daughter. I don't even know where to start. And if I did, my note would be too long for you to even read, and you guys know how much I can write. In my efforts to save my daughter and kids like her, I've been exposed to human trafficking, illegal drug dealers, mental health institutions, social services, law enforcement, district attorneys, politicians, all the way to governors, school administrators, mental health unprofessionals, and doctors and psychiatrists. I can truly say all these groups, with the exception of law enforcement, are on the co-opting our kids from their parents. Some are useful idiots for the politicians and bureaucrats pushing their Maoist agenda, but it's the ones that are aware of what they are doing that are truly despicable. So I'm going to go down his quick list here that explains the process that happened to his daughter, who he was able to save. but it's a horrible story. I put it all in the show notes. I've taken out everybody's names in these notes. Here was the process that he calls legalizing state-sponsored genital mutilation. 1, hire radical teachers for indoctrination. Reduce age of, this is Colorado, reduce age of consent for medical care, like abortions, to 15 without parental consent. Allow children to consent for medical care at 12 without parent knowledge or consent. Pass laws requiring state employees, including teachers, to use any bizarre pronoun. Offer medical and mental health care in schools without parental consent. Governor encourages kids to inject mRNA poison in their bodies without parental consent. Require mental health assessment for kids 12 and older, overriding parental objections and not informing parents of any care. After-birth abortions for kids as young as 12 without parental consent also come to Colorado and will abort your baby. Genital mutilation and puberty blockers for kids without parental consent in violation of a UN resolution. Exposing yourself to a minor is now just a ticket. Not passed yet is lowering the age of consent for sexual contact to 11, including with adults. Yes, pedophilia. He goes on and on and on and on and on. And he saved his daughter, but it's a harrowing story. And I'm just getting, again, email after email from parents in No Agenda Nation who have been exposed to this and are trying to protect their kids. So what is it on one hand? Yes, it is exactly what we've discussed that Bill Maher said, which is Maoism.
Yesterday, I asked ChatGPT, are there any similarities between today's woke revolution and Chairman Mao's cultural revolution of the 1960s? And it wrote back, how long do you have? Because, again, in China, we saw how a revolutionary thought he could do a page-one rewrite of humans. Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the 4 olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being. A lot of pointing and shaming went on. Oh, and about 1 million dead. And the only way to survive was to plead insanity for the crime of being insufficiently radical, then apologize and thank the state, and of course submit to re-education, or as we call it here in America, freshman orientation.
So even Bill Maher sees what's going on. And yes, it is to a great degree political, as our parent there points out, that the politicians, anything to make the Republicans look the worst. Anything. Call them Christian, was it?
Christian radicals.
No, not radicals. No, it was not fascist, Christian fascists. Anti-trans legislation. They hate children because this is gender-affirming care. Well, you just heard from that young girl what gender-affirming care is. But now we go to Dr. Meg Meeker's podcast, just one clip from her. And she is talking to Irene Erickson. And this is, she asked a question, which I think is a pretty good one. Why is this really happening in America? As we know, this is being stopped in other countries, specifically the countries where it started, which was the Netherlands, but Sweden, France, the UK. So what is going on? Why is this happening to this degree in the United States?
Honestly and truly, I've been practicing for 30-some years, and I think maybe in 25 years, I saw one genuine transgender child. But something happened in the U.S. and there was an explosion. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Why does the U.S. approach it differently than other countries?
That's a great question. That's a great question. And in fact,
it may actually be the only great question.
It's political, is my observation. It's not based on the science. In fact, the United Kingdom had the largest pediatric gender clinic in the world, the Tavistock Clinic, and they commissioned an independent review of the research evidence about this kind of protocol that I just described and what were the effects. And what was the evidence? How good was the research evidence in terms of quality? And based on their review, just in the last 2 months, they have done a 180-degree turnaround. They've closed that clinic, and they have said, we do not recommend, this is the National Health Service in Great Britain, we do not recommend social transition for children, and we are not going to prescribe puberty blockers or cross-sex hormones or surgery for minors unless they are part of a study we have approved that is set up to evaluate the effects. And this same kind of a cautionary approach is seen in Sweden. Just to quote you what the Swedish National Board of Health says, for adolescents, the risks of puberty-suppressing treatment and gender-affirming hormonal treatments currently outweigh the possible benefits based on continued lack of reliable scientific evidence concerning the efficacy and the safety of both treatments. So the U.S. is really out of step now with what's happening internationally. And, you know, it does beg the question of why.
So she says it's political, and of course it is, but it's the schools where this is all starting. And I took a deep dive because I wanted to know about these studies, because everywhere I read from the New York Times, gender-affirming medical care has been proven to be very beneficial. So I found an article from Psychology Today, because it is the therapists. It's the therapists who are reeling these children in. They don't care. Therapists. And this is it. This is from the New York Times, pointed to from the New York Times as the evidence for trans youth gender-affirming medical care. Research suggests gender-affirming medical care results in better mental health. 16 studies to date have been examining the impact of gender-affirming medical care for transgender youth. Existing evidence suggests that gender-affirming medical care results in favorable mental health outcomes. All major medical organizations oppose legislation that would ban gender-affirming medical care for transgender adolescents. John, every single one of these studies is from 2020. Every single one. And all of them with 55 people, 60 people. They're all from 2020, all during the lockdown. Not a single one has been studied anything earlier than 2020. This and with this, they say, oh, well, but that's enough. One will notice, this article says, there have not been any randomized controlled trials. Oh, but it's still that sounds like it's a valid trial. There's a general consensus in the field that such a trial would be unethical, given the body of literature we have so far indicating that those in the control group will be likely to suffer adverse mental health outcomes compared to those randomized to the treatment groups. For this reason, it appears that no institutional review board would approve a randomized controlled trial at this time under the principle of equipoise, to which some bioethicists refer. I don't know what that all means, but it seems to me like these trials are bull. In summary...
Well, you'd have to look at the trials and who paid for them to get a real handle on it, I believe.
Yeah. Yes, I did not go that deep, but if you look at the synopsis here, a lot of them are Dutch. Puberty suppression in adolescents with gender identity disorder, a prospect follow-up study, Journal of Sexual Medicine. Okay, I don't know what that is. Young adult psychological outcome after puberty suppression and gender reassignment, pediatrics. Psychological support, puberty suppression, and psychosocial functioning in adolescence. It's all Journal of Sexual Medicine. So, but
it's all in the exact same journal. There's no outside journals.
Here's the Nordic Journal of Psychiatry. It's all psychological. They're not. It doesn't seem to even be medical trials. It's all about the psychology. But that's what the New York Times points to as proof that this stuff works and it's great. So I'm very, very skeptical, particularly because there's not there have been people transitioning, having what used to be called a sex change operation for decades. But no, none of that seems to be very important. And then we have the media. We have the media, and I got a great deconstruction from one of our producers. I want to play this Kara Swisher clip again. Because she's a lesbian, so she's an expert on all things, and of course she takes us all to the political realm as well. I'm just going to replay this from the last show.
And the other thing is that I think he underestimated. Florida has a really robust and wonderful gay community, and they drive a lot of business. There's whole parts. I've spent a lot of time in Key West, and the gay community is thriving there. And I just can't believe at some point the demo and democracy does kick in here.
One would assume, but I'm thinking of the Weimar Republic, where it was a huge Berlin gay community, and then they killed them. So, I think it can go a lot of terrible ways, but I would agree. This is dumb. This is so...
That escalated fast.
I'm sorry, but haven't you seen Cabaret? Haven't you seen Cabaret Berlin Stories?
Yeah, you're right. No, people think it couldn't happen here. It can. I agree.
They can come at you. But I do not think that that's where the country is in a different, we have obviously a much more vibrant democracy, a much more diverse democracy than they had in Weimar Republic. And they had all kinds of economic issues post-war, all kinds of differences, but they can come at you. When I told you they were going to come at 12th graders, you said, no, they're not. It's young kids. And I was like, no, they're not. It's everybody. They're trying to win what they lost back, and they will stop at nothing. They never go away. They're like mold, these people.
So our producer sends me this short note, which I wanted to share because I think he did a much better job than we did on deconstructing what this woman said. I'm listening to the podcast, just heard the Swisher Galloway clip, and the psychology of it disturbed me. First of all, she mentioned the gay community in Weimar, Germany was thriving, and then they killed them. This is incorrect. The Republic had laws against homosexuality, but they were rarely enforced, hence the thriving community. It was the Nazis who killed the gays shortly after their rise to power, not the Weimar Republic. So the comparison to Florida is actually very apt, since the thriving community there is not in danger from Florida, but from the people trying to subvert Florida. Moreover, she then went on to describe her political opponents by saying, they never go away, they're like mold, these people. That is exactly the way Hitler talked about his victims. In his books and his speeches, he always referred to them as an infection or infestation that needed to be cleansed. This woman is deeply disturbed and should be surrounded by trained professionals with butterfly nets before her career in art fails. A John C. Dvorak protege, I might add.
Keep blaming me for everything. So, yes. Yeah, good points. That's a good analysis. I agree with it.
Then I have just a few more follow-ups here because, as we pointed out, this also really does come from during the lockdown when kids were on screens. And this is where they got subverted. They got subverted by social media, and they were. But you think the parents were not feeling good in the lockdown? No, everyone felt, very anxious. And then they didn't feel good, and teenage girls already have problems with feeling good about themselves, and they were subverted by. Yes,
I want to ask you while you're just before you do this, because it comes to mind. A rhetorical question. The commentary about the kids on screens during the lockdown and not going to class, not socializing, but they're being on the screen all the time. Mm-hmm. They're at home, homeschooling. They were getting their lessons. Yes. The teachers were there. They were telling them to do this and read this and do that and do this and that. And it turns out that all you hear now is, because of that, the kids are 2 years behind.
Yeah.
So, in other words, the screen time and all the learning from home and all the rest of it was useless. Then if that's true, which seems to be, that's what they're complaining about, then why is working from home so good?
Ooh. It's not.
It can't be. Not if you base it on what happened during that lockdown.
We had this was last summer. One of the daughters was visiting, and she had some of her friends from New York. They also were in Austin for some reason. And these, I think, like 3 guys, probably 2 of them, 2 or 3, or maybe all 3 gay. I don't know. But they were like, lawyers, like high end, like intellectual jobs. And they came out and they're hanging out in the pool, and they literally would set their laptops up because they were working from home. They set up their laptops, and they had all these little programs that moved the mouse to make it look like they were working. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that cool? Like, oh, yeah.
It's very funny.
And then from time to time, they go in, just do a little something, open a document just to make sure that it looked like, because, it's all tracked by IT. And we got a note from Alex. Jens, I want to follow up a couple items. The school I work at in New York State is OTG, off the grid. Families and students must pledge to limit smart devices time spent on them, etc. Many of our students, even this is Northern Academy. Many of our students, even high schoolers, have zero access to social media. We are even pushing to limit laptops in the classroom and return to books and paper. Check us out at northacademy.org. In my 5 years here, we've had in total 1 suicide. Less than 5 students medicated for ADD, ADHD, depression, etc. 0 students on IEP plans. I don't know what is IEP? All students learn together.
Look it up.
It's probably for special ed.
I'll look it up.
IEP plans. All students learn together, and we do not discriminate based on diagnosis or perceived differences. 0 trans in students. 0 trans students. It does not even come up in class ever. As far as I know, we've had 1 student who identified as homosexual, again, accepted but not promoted.
The individualized education plan.
There you go. Indoctrination.
Developed to ensure a child who has a disability identified under the law and is attending an elementary or secondary kids for the disabled kids.
We are a boarding and day school. Send your kids, but really, any parents who are interested can reach out to me on Mastodon. And it's brahpecy@noagendasocial.com. BRAHPHECY. Let's help save the 850,000 listeners and their children. I wholeheartedly believe our schools here in New York could help change some of these trends. So just so you know, now, by the way, it's probably an Epoch Times NTD related outfit because they know how bad it can be. So they have almost none of the issues that we hear of that are rampant without the screens. This is without the screens. So we have another email from Mason. I heard the show, want to share my experience around children's screens and phones. My wife and I have a 20-month-old son who we've kept almost entirely screen-free. No children's shows, no YouTube, no phones, no iPads. Only screen use would be when we have a sports game on, but he isn't interested in that, 20-month-old. We've noticed that he's less interested in our phones than other toddlers we've seen. Perhaps because he doesn't know all the fun things a phone can have. Having said that, he is still interested in our phones because we're interested in our phones. He is clearly picking up on it. Quick note on low screen kids. Almost everyone who meets our son comments on his ability to play creatively with simple toys by himself and his engagement with us and other adults. It's hard not to use screens as a crutch with kids, and it takes purpose, but there are very real benefits that start showing up almost immediately. And here it comes. Several weeks ago, after seeing him more and more interested in my phone, I switched to a light phone too, thelightphone.com, and put my iPhone in a drawer. I did this both to unhook myself from my device as well as to help my son have a normal life. Abnormal by today's standards. The results have been immediate for both of us. I'm less interested in my phone, and he's not interested at all. The phone has a black and white e-ink screen, very limited functionality, so there's no draw for me or for the child. I was anxious to switch at first, but after getting it up and running, I felt immediately freed from it all. I share this because the light phone might be a good tool for others in Gitmo Nation, both in curbing their own addictions to these apps and for allowing older kids to have the ability to communicate without giving them access to anything online. And so I ordered one. I ordered a light phone, and when it comes in, I'll do a full review, but I think we've talked about it before in the OTG days. And I'm thinking, if you want to save your child, here's a list of things that I would like to suggest you give to your kids. A light phone, too, because you can call, you can text, and it's not, punching in the number 5 times. It has a little actual keyboard. It has no camera. It does have directions. You can listen to podcasts, and you can use it as a hotspot. And with that, give your kid a laptop. Teach your kid how to put Linux Mint on it so the kid has an understanding that you control the device, doesn't control you. Give your kid a high-quality standalone camera. John, would you like to give any suggestions? Because you always use these cameras.
Well, any camera from Olympus, I'd say, would be a good standalone camera, the little ones. Or if you want to just, bite the bullet and buy a Nikon, one of the ones using an AP SC, one of the bigger sensors. But a 4/3 sensor is also good. Or a full frame, but those cost too much, so forget that.
But just a little thing you put in your pocket. The lens
you could put
zooms out.
A million of these. Yeah.
And then, you take it home, then you load it onto your laptop with Linux Mint, and you can choose stuff. And then parents...
Well, it takes a better picture, generally speaking, than a phone can.
Yeah, but it's all...
Generally.
You can take pictures, but you're not doing selfies. You're not doing selfies. And you can't get on any social media. Then, parents, I would recommend you look at an Umbrel or a Start9 home server so you can give your kid, some stuff. They can, they can have their own little chat room with their friends that you can monitor. And if you don't know what that is, go to getumbrel.com. It's all free. Then you should also give your kid a handheld 2-meter ham radio, and both of you take the test. Take the test. I mean this. Take the test. Yeah. Take the test. And you should encourage their friends to do this so they can talk to each other over distances. It's $35 for these little things. Give them a library card, get them a dog, and an AR-15, and teach them how to use it.
Yeah, and probably a pocket protector.
Yeah, okay, it's fine.
If you're going to be a ham, you might as well have one of those.
I would rather my kid be a nerd than any alternative. Any alternative. And then finally, know that you have power to stop this insanity. It is happening, and it's unbelievable. I didn't think it would happen, but the Bud Light boycott is making a difference. The numbers are in. Sales are down 26%. There's a poll done. I'm not big on polls. This is a Rasmussen poll, which is also, of course, like a right-leaning outfit. But the numbers are clear that Budweiser and Bud Light is suffering significantly. They cannot bring themselves to apologize. I mean, I went out, I was talking to my...
but stop. This is an interesting point. They can't bring themselves to apologize. They're afraid they're going to offend someone by apologizing.
Yep.
We didn't do anything wrong.
Well, that's the worst part. They're saying, well, it's just one single can. Now, remember, we've talked about this. It's the distributors, the local distributors own the business, and these people are mad because bars are saying, nope, no, I don't want Bud Light. We're boycotting them. Tommy, who helped me, we lost a tree during that big storm. He comes over with his chainsaw, and I go out and talk with Tommy. He's from Waco originally. And they all know I'm not drinking Bud Light. He says, you know what else I'm not doing? I'm not buying Nike shoes anymore. And Tommy is 63, and he has his helper Ryan. He's 28, and Ryan said, nope, not doing it.
Were they Bud Light drinkers before?
They were Budweiser. They would drink Budweiser. I don't know if they drank Bud Light, but they're boycotting all Budweiser products and all Anheuser-Busch products in general. And they know it. They know exactly what beers are under the InBev brand, and they're no, screw those guys. And they're taking a stand, and it's working. It's working. And what's happening is now the marketing community, they are freaking out because influencers, that was the business. Oh, yeah, influencers. Wow, they're all over TikTok. They're all over Instagram. This is how we get our word out. And that's why they gave this stupid Dylan Mulvaney, his own can, so that he could tout that. I love when you blow your nose. And now all of these marketing departments are going to be like, holy crap, because, the VP of marketing at Bud got fired. She's on leave. No, she got fired. then it was not even the Dylan Mulvaney thing so much. It was it's a tired old fratty brand. Yeah, the arrogance of it. The
marketing arrogance is the worst.
The incredible arrogance of it all. And so keep it up. Boycott. This is the American power. And I don't know if Anheuser-Busch can recover. Because this is sticking. This is sticking. And Coors and other brands that are non-InBev are mysteriously going up. It's really going up. Now, so with all this, of course, what do you do about all? Social media is the problem. Screen phones are the problem. There is an article. Gen Zers are snapping up flip phones. Wall Street Journal. So I don't know. We've seen these trends before, but some of the kids are like, I'm sick of this stuff. So, and also it's too expensive, these dumb phones. The light phone, $299, seems like a good deal. I'll do a review of that. But, where I think ultimately parents need to take responsibility, just as this email said, they're the ones who are hooked on their phones. You've got to get off your phone. You've got to get a light phone. You've got to change your ways because your kids are seeing it. And you need to, be aware of what they're doing. Be aware of these social media networks. That's why don't give them a phone for it. Let them do it at home on the laptop so you can look along, you look over their shoulder. Kids are always going to do weird stuff that you don't know about, but you have to be more involved. And you can't just say, I don't know, I don't understand it, while you're doom scrolling on TikTok, you morons. And of course, our legislators, they have all these dumb ideas, which will now be arguing about forever.
A showdown over social media for kids, as the U.S. Federal Trade Commission accuses Meta, parent company of Facebook and Instagram, of misusing the personal data of its youngest users.
Facebook has repeatedly violated its privacy promises. The company's recklessness has put young users at risk, and Facebook needs to answer for its failures.
In 2019, Facebook agreed to pay a $5 billion civil penalty over data privacy practices in the wake of the Cambridge Analytica scandal. The FTC, though, says the company has not lived up to its commitments in that settlement, alleging that children under 13 are still able to chat with parentally unapproved contacts and that the company is still passing private data to unused third-party apps. Its proposed sanctions include a total ban on Meta monetizing the data of under 18s, a pause on the launch of new products pending compliance review, and limits on the use of facial recognition technology. Meanwhile, a bipartisan group of U.S. senators is calling for a total ban on social media for kids 12 and under.
The technology industry is going to find all sorts of innovative ways to try to squash this bill because, this is their profit center, our kids, and promoting really dangerous content often to our kids.
Meta says the FTC's latest move is a political stunt, accusing the regulator of overstepping its authority. The company has 30 days to formally respond.
And the reason why none of this works and none of this will happen and why social networks and social media is always going to be around is because the lib joes love it. The liberal journalists love, all journalists probably, but the lib joes are the worst. Oh, we love, and we're not, screw Elon, we're going to Mastodon. And then they were on Mastodon like, well, but it's not exactly the way we like it, and we can't find people, and we can't count all of our views and our likes. And here we go to the rescue. Jack Dorsey releases Blue Sky. Have you been following Blue Sky?
I've only heard about it.
So I got a Blue Sky invite. Thank you very much. One of our producers gave that to me. And I'll just give you the technical background because this is not discussed. Blue Sky, the idea of Blue Sky is it kind of works like Mastodon, where you have your identity, or like Nostril as well. You have your identity, and that is yours, and you can use this identity to check into different neighborhoods or different servers, but you can be federated across the entire platform. So not a single reporter is reporting on what it actually is, but what they did is, Oh, this is great. This is like Twitter without Elon. I've got an invite. You got an invite? I got an invite there. Oh, I have an invite. Oh, Jake Tapper's on there. Oh, yeah. AOC is on there. Oh, yes. This is great. Oh, let's everybody show our boobs. Okay, everybody show your butt. Okay, the trans movement is here. And all the lib joes love it. You know why? Because you can quote tweet. The whole platform is one LibJoe smorgasbord. And so they're abandoning Mastodon as quick as they can, trying to, they're creating their own language. Yes, they're not tweets, they're skeets.
What?
They're not tweets, they're skeets. Blue sky, skeet.
They're actually calling them skeets?
Yes, I know.
Holy moly.
So, I mean, I have to give you one of my codes. You have to witness it. This is better than the secret Mastodon server we have. It is, they are so, they're insane. And so they're all going to flock to this. This is the new thing. It's much better than Elon's Twitter. Jake Tapper, skeets. The AI has such a weird take on my face. Everyone is just gushing over how great this is. And this is the new Twitter. So they're going to keep.
I will look into it.
Yeah, no, I'll give you my invite code. I only have one more. I'll give you my invite, and it's the big. How many invite codes? Oh, well, we need moderation. Oh yeah, now they're talking about how they need to moderate. So keep children away from journalists. I would say is another good. Keep them away from journalists. Keep them away from news in general. Just tell them to listen to the No Agenda show. That'll be good for them. And you know what? You should teach your children. Value for value.
Yeah, have them donate.
With that, I'd like to thank you for your courage. Say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in Chat GPT. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to my friend on the other end, Mr. John C. DeVore.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. Also in the morning to all ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air. Subs in the water and all the names and nights.
Let's measure them right away before they run away. Let's see how many trolls we have in the troll room. I think we're late today. We only have one segment for reasons which will be obvious, although we have some longer notes. 1914 today. I don't know. That doesn't seem like a lot. People are abandoning us, John.
That's about 100 higher than usual.
Oh, really?
Well, this is not Sunday.
Oh, it's Thursday. Yeah, of course. That's right. Well, those are the trolls. They're in the troll room, and you can find them at trollroom.io. Or if you have one of those brand new podcast apps, you're dumping the legacy stuff, the ones where, your favorite podcast just might go away because someone decided they didn't like it, and they removed it from Spotify or Apple.
Well, even the guys on Spotify are all saying that everybody says this except us. Wherever you get your podcast from.
Yeah.
Right. Which not to interrupt the segment, but I do have a what's wrong with podcasting bit.
Oh, well, hold on. Let me finish this and then we'll play the clip because that's what the donation segment is for. It's for interviews with guests and for clips.
Clips like this one.
Okay.
So finish what you were doing.
Yes.
Kara. Yes.
Yes, you throw me off my game when you do that stuff. Go to podcastapps.com. Grab yourself a modern podcast app. Now, there are a couple that have this troll room feature in it. It's Podverse, CurioCaster, Podcast Addict, Podcast Guru, with more coming. And you'll be alerted just like a bat signal, and you can pop right in. All your podcasts will be there. Including the No Agenda Show podcast, but also the live podcast. And more podcasts are doing this. This is the cool thing. You want to be a part of that for sure. Now you can also follow us at noagendasocial.com. I kicked that guy off. Ironhide, whatever his name was.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. And now he keeps trying to come in, and he's posting all kinds of horrible things about us.
Like what?
Like we're homophobic. We're boring. We're old. We're stupid. That kind of stuff.
Oh gosh, I don't know what to do.
Well, but he insults people all the time. The thing that look, I don't like kicking people off. Normally just ignore them or block them. But I tried to calm him down in a private conversation. Then he started posting all our emails.
Get rid of him. He's a no good Nick.
Exactly. And no good, Nick. Exactly. By the way, big shout out to Nick the Rat. He had what we call a great get yesterday. A great get, which is a great guest. Did you hear the guest he had?
Yeah, he had my wife.
Yes, Mimi Dvorak.
Did you get your book?
Not only did we get the book, we love our book. Too Many Eggs, TooManyEggs.com. And we'll be discussing it on Curry and the Keeper. Because there's been an egg controversy in the family for a long time. And we have answers.
Is it solved by the book?
Yes, it is solved by the book. I don't know if I'm happy with it, but yeah, it's solved. The book.
Oh, so it didn't go your way. The controversy.
It's big. It's a big ass book. What does that thing cost if you buy the book? I know you can download the PDF for free.
I think it's $48. I think is the.
That's a good value.
Yeah, it's actually we're underpricing it.
That's kind of like
and we're also giving away a free PDF.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we're in it to lose money, so people should take advantage of it.
Sounds like a podcast. I like your idea.
TooManyEggs.com and get a free PDF copy of it.
The quality of this book and the hardcover is like a Taschen book. You know what I mean? Like one of those. No. You know what a Taschen book is?
No, I don't know the term.
Taschen is a publisher, and they do these beautiful coffee table books, big size, with a hardcover. I don't know. It's not like, it doesn't look like a self-published piece of crap. It's nice, and it looks beautiful.
We're pros.
Yeah, it looks beautiful on the table.
We know how to do this work.
Hey, look, if you want to interrupt me, I'm trying to hype the book up.
I'm sorry. Keep going. What am I doing? I'm an idiot.
And I also would like everyone to pray for our clip custodian son, Seamus, who had to go in for emergency chemo. It's really shitty, so we want prayers for Seamus, please. Thank you all very much.
Yes.
Yeah,
good to note.
Yes. All right.
TooManyEggs.com. Just check it out and get a free copy.
It's a great book. Well, there you go. There's our business model. We just need to make products.
Just make products. As long as it's high quality, things take care of themselves.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm listening to one of the podcasts which is loaded. It's one of the spin-off podcasts, and it's loaded with ads for other podcasts.
Oh, what podcast is this?
And so this is an ad for Alec Baldwin's podcast, and I want you to listen to. Do you think this is a guy that's not geared to be a podcaster? He can barely read the simple copy. It just doesn't make any sense. They've tried to put him on TV to be an interviewer, and he thinks he's a really good interviewer, but just listen to this.
Hey, it's Alec Baldwin. This past season on my podcast, Here's the Thing, I spoke with more actors, musicians, policymakers, and so many other fascinating people, like actress and director Cheryl Hines.
They were looking for an unknown actress
right.
to play Larry David's wife. I said, well, how old is that guy? Isn't he old?
Listen to the new season of Here's the Thing on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This guy's a professional entertainer?
Yeah, he's an NPR-like guy. That's what he thinks a podcast should be. You know what I mean? He's like, I have to talk like this. I'm Alex Baldwin.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Not probably.
I just thought that was the worst promotion for a podcast ever.
Definitely not great. I wouldn't want to be promoted. Hey, did you hear that he got off?
Yeah, he got off. And they found him not liable.
Yes. Thank you. Hey-oh. So we got follow Adam at noagendasocial.com, John C. Dvorak at noagendasocial.com. And as part of our value for value model, what all we ask you for is to think deep inside your heart. What kind of value did you get from this podcast? Can you give something back? Would you like to return the value? There's a number of things you can do: time, talent, treasure. We have people doing amazing work for us, and boots on the ground reports. Just really being part of the large No Agenda community. We also love the treasure part. It's very important. But we have artists who make art for us, so we can always have a fresh piece of art for every single show, and it is very beneficial. Very few shows do this. And people like it. It gets people interested. They see it on social media, or they see it anywhere you get your podcast. I'm like, well, what is this? Let me click on this. And then they're reminded that's No Agenda because those guys have a new piece of art every single time. So we want to thank the artists for episode 1551. That was our palindrome show, Big Mike and the Rock. And the art was from Capitalist Agenda. Now, we had a hard time selecting a piece of art. It was a great piece. We both liked the piece in general. It was a tank in a pineapple, which with ITM on it, which it really didn't make any sense unless you heard the show, which is what it is sometimes. But we had the pineapple pizza we were talking about.
The one you liked the most was the Pizza Bigotry by Correct the Record. You were a big fan of that. It's a piece of pizza that's with a sign. And I was a fan of.
I was more a fan of Dame Kenny Ben's Crushing the Narrative. You didn't like that at all.
Oh no, that I agree. You liked that one too. Yeah. So you had those two, but I didn't like the Crushing the Narrative at all. I just thought, what was the point of the fist bump? I don't know. So
no, what you wanted was the new drug from Sir Ned.
No, I wanted coffee for kids from Sir Ned.
Right, but we both agreed that it wasn't clear enough that it was coffee. It needed a Starbucks
right, they needed
logo.
Some logos that we thought, for example, Starbucks logos on the coffee, even though that's promotional, I think it would at least make the point better.
Yeah, but you liked the new drug because it had Take Twice Weekly, contains part curry, 1 part Dvorak, media deconstruct. You liked that one.
I did like that one, but you poo-pooed it because when you don't like art, you claim it's unreadable.
Yeah, but
so
a bone of contention arises once again.
So
you like the butts. Let's be honest. You like comic strip bloggers' butts. The K-pop butts. Yes, you did.
I thought that was cute. I thought it was cute use of some sort of butt, but. Then the fallback was the one we picked, which was Media Colada.
Media Colada, that's what it was, yes.
And because it brought in the pineapple, which was part of the pizza story, and the rest of it was just nonsense. But it was a nice piece. It was well done. And so we picked it for its quality.
It was a good piece. And I see that people have already been making new pieces for this show.
I also like I should bring this up from Mick Gooey, tranny fluid.
Yes, it was too small.
But for the Bud Light, it was a transmission fluid with Bud Light on it.
It said automatic trans fluid. It was great. It was
a great piece, but the can of oil or what transmission fluid is too small.
Yeah, it's really a shame.
That is too small. You even blow it up, you can't read the automatic transmission fluid or automatic trans fluid.
It was a very funny joke. It would have been
very
a winner.
Funny.
It would have been
better
a winner.
Executed.
I think it would have been a winner. People would have thought it was very funny.
It is funny. I think it's still funny, but it's not. It's too dinky.
Yeah. and now the joke is gone. I don't think we can do it anymore.
No, the joke's over.
It's too old. All right. Let's thank our executive and associate executive producers for episode 1552 of the best podcast in the universe. A lot of 333.33s and some longer notes, everybody. But I think in general, we can, considering we have no nights, no title changes, we have only one meetup report. We can blow through this in one go instead of breaking twice, and still give you some good show for the money. In fact, may I play something that only people who listen to the donation segment will hear, and all those other people who went away, those losers, will be missing out on?
Sure.
Okay, so we've been told that we have a lot of fans in aviation. That's understandable. I am an aviator. And we have air traffic controllers who are thrown out in the mornings from time to time. We like that very much. In Nashville, we met Steve and Jessica. And they are pretty much the Ken and Barbie of the No Agenda show. He is a pilot for Southwest. She is a flight attendant for Southwest. Beautiful. He's 7 feet tall. She's got the blonde hair, and they're great people. Fantastic. He's a knight, and she has a. Ooh, I wrote this down. She has. She's an interior designer as well, I think, and she has. Tina's going to kill me because I wrote down the name of her shop. But anyway, I'll get that in a moment. So Steve sends me a note. He says, I like that that ATC is, the guys are throwing it in the mornings. I haven't heard one yet, but when I do, I'll be sure to respond with in the morning. He says for 2 years, Southwest, they do their own little thing.
They have a comedy act that they do in the plane, which was taken from PSA, Pacific Southwest Airlines, which is where they stole many of these ideas, except for the smile that used to be on the plane. Mm-hmm. But they do a comedy act when they tell you to put your seatbelt on. It's very complex. Right. Sometimes they actually have a comedian on the plane doing a long sketch.
Yes. So it's a dogwoodproper.com is Jessica's store. So they have a lot of leeway to do whatever they want on the public address system. Steve says, I've been doing this, what I'm about to play for you, for 2 years. And not all my co-pilots understand it, but it usually results in me hitting them in the mouth. So imagine you're in Southwest. This is the pre-takeoff announcement. And he had one of his flight attendants record this for him. Okay, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard In the Morning from Paul and Steve up front, where your pilot's flying you to St. Louis today. I'll be off the gate and on our way in just a few more minutes. Flying time to St. Louis today, 1 hour and 33 minutes. We'll be headed to St. Louis at a cruising altitude of 33,000 feet. St. Louis weather last hour reporting mostly sunny skies. Looks like the temperature there mid-70s with winds light out of the north. Getting off the gate and on our way shortly. Thanks for choosing us here at Southwest today. Welcome aboard In the Morning.
He says he has not had heard an In the Morning back yet in 2 years that he's been doing it. But you got to love that.
That'd be great to be on that plane.
I'd be storming the cockpit. I love these guys. All right, let's kick off the donations today with Builder Mike in Edison, Pennsylvania, 333.33. In the morning, this notice to accompany my donation in commemoration of my birthday, my 61st, which happens on a show day this year. Birthday list. You're on it. I'm also attaching the file for Barnhart donation.
Barnhart donation.
I first heard... Hey, everyone! If you're donating $333.33, you can have a donation.
I like the cash register.
Yeah, we like it a lot.
Barnhart donation.
I first heard of No Agenda at MoFax while listening to the Barnhart podcast a few years ago. Oh, okay, and became a regular listener after I asked the Barnhart podcast to recommend a source for news. Thanks, guys. I'm on a recurring donation, made a couple during the double up promotions, and this is my first executive producer donation. Be assured of my prayers along with those of the good folks at barnhart.biz. That's BARNHARDT.biz for you and John C. Thank you for your courage. Non-time bit cor meum. My heart shall not fear. Oh, okay. Nice. Thank you very much. Throwing in some Latin. You're on the list. You got it, man. Thank you.
All right, next is Dennis O'Brien out of Brooklyn, and he gives us 333.33, and I'm going to skip one of his paragraphs because today's his 33rd birthday. He's on the list. I've been listening for almost exactly 3 years. As such, it's high time to finally give you some of your much-deserved V for V. Please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
I need like a Jobs, karma, and a sampling of Al Sharpton. He says he doesn't catch every show like he used to, but I still try and listen when I can. It's a rare and precious thing in American media to hear well-informed opinions from smart guys with interesting life experiences who don't have to impress anybody or worry about getting sacked for pissing off the wrong billionaire. This show is special. Please keep it on. A final note to my fellow whoppies, commit these words to memory. No conspiracy is necessary where the interests of the powerful are aligned. They'll still call you crazy, but 1 in 10 might stop and think about it for a minute. Stay safe or else.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Tonight is the measure of whether the country begins in the state of Wisconsin a national drive to push back, or whether we have more to go to build a movement of resistance. But resist we must, and we will much about that be committed.
Classic
Joining me now.
Classic Sharpton, classic.
Was the classic.
Corporate Legal is in Baytown, Texas, 333.33, first timer. Corporate Legal from Texas. You have inspired me. I have moderated primary debates for local political organizations and plan to launch a bid for a district judge seat. The Texas torque wrench for precise application of law. Thank you.
333 comes from Sir B&A in Nashville, Tennessee.
This is our pilot. This is our Steve, our Southwest pilot right here.
Steve Benstra. Sir B&A. He says, note for 3 things. Hey, Gitmo Nation, Mother's Day is May 14th. That's coming up. And my smoking hot wife, Jessica, has the perfect gift box for Mom. And here we go.
Here it is.
www.dogwoodproper.com. I've been using In the Morning on all my Welcome Aboard PAs and ATC radio checks, and we played one of them. Hopefully this trend will be changing. In other words, he wants to hear from some no agenda listeners. When you leave the plane, you can say something.
In the morning.
If John trained Kara Swisher, then when a bit go ahead is spoken, shouldn't Kara colleagues say, okay, John, rather than Adam say, okay, Kara? Huh? Yeah, sure. Okay, jingles. Boogity, boogity, and that's true. Thank you for your courage, Steve.
Okay, maybe I should do the that's true first. It sounds a little better that way. Oops. Come on. It's true. Here we go.
That's true.
That's the wrong one. I feel bad. Should be. It's true. That's true. Is it? It's true.
It's true.
It's true. Is it? Maybe is it this one?
It's true.
No, that's Trump.
We lost it. We lost. It's true.
I don't know what's on. No, that's not possible. That's not true.
Well, it's not lost. It's just lost.
Something's gone. How about this?
Misplaced.
Here we go.
That's true.
Oh, thank goodness.
There she is.
Glad we have her. Maynard Throne is in Tracy, California, 333.33. Short and sweet. I'm a driver for a large grocery chain. John really nailed it when he said we are educating truck drivers, listeners since 2016. No, we are educating truck drivers, listener since 2016. A donation is long overdue. Please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
Along with a John donate. Let me see. And that is this one. And peace and love to you both. No, I'm sorry. Maynard Throne, Tracy, California. Is this the one?
You've got
Donate.
karma.
Nice. Nailed it.
Do you have the note? Because I don't have it.
I do. Let me go and grab that. There's 2 notes. Which one is this, Christopher?
I found it.
Oh, good.
Hey, this is Christopher Pagels, who came in with 333.33, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his last name. And he writes, hey, John and Adam, this is Christopher from Menominee. Menominee. I keep saying, I can't say Menominee. Enjoy this. Check 3333. That's good. The show as of late has been lacking in sumo analysis.
Oh.
The reason is because the tournaments are every other month. John, what did you think of that Kiribiyama's Yusho win, and what is your thoughts on the May tournament? Is it Hoshiro's time? You know, it's speculating on what sumo is going to win the tournaments. I've always found it to be kind of weird because it's like I don't know how to say it, but it's like speculating on who's going to win the NASCAR race, and they do it. Oh, I think so and so is going to win. No, you never know who's going to win. It's just some guy gets lucky and wins a few key matches. Also, can you say it's scary? My niece thinks it's your best catchphrase.
No.
Oh, it's a scam. It's a scam.
You got to say it right.
It's a scam. Let me get it right. It's a scam.
Nice.
Stay dangerous, Christopher.
Thank you. Michael Dorman is in Redmond, Washington, 3:33 in the morning. Gents, thanks for all you do. Please accept some value for value. Jingle Ants in My Pants. I think he means ants, the ants, classic ants. We'll play a little bit of it. May I please have some relationship karma? As I'm starting off something with a new special lady. Peace and love to you both. Of course. A little bit of that for you. Just a little bit of the ants. I got ants.
I got ants. I got ants.
You've got karma.
Lauren Palawoda. There's a way of pronouncing this, and I'm not going to get it.
Palawoda.
Palawoda is what it looks like to me. But okay, and she's in Chandler, whatever the case, Arizona. She comes with 333, as did Michael Dorman. Howdy to you both. As much as I would love to say no jiggles she's got here. Yeah. She's got
no jiggles.
No jiggles, no karma. I can't. Could I get a foamer? Trains good, planes bad, and some goat karma at the end of the note. Let me be brief. I just made this donation very early in the morning while my smoking hot boyfriend is asleep. His birthday was on April 29th, and I failed to get him a birthday shout out on the Sunday show. So I had the idea to donate 333 and ask would it go toward the eventual knighthood of Eric Bradley. But I would like the executive producer if that's not too much to ask.
Of course.
Good for you.
Good. Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, I know he's listening to the live show, so I guess this is somewhat of a surprise for him. Happy belated 27th birthday to you, Harskopf. What is it?
Well, it's German.
You're 33, closer to being a knight now. Love you, mean it.
Oh my God! Woo! Listen to that horn! All aboard, train's good, plane's bad. Woo-hoo.
You've got karma.
Greg Birch. Oh, there's Greg Birch.
Yeah, he's a baron.
He's our dental...
Baron Greg Birch. He's the official No Agenda dentist.
Dental professional from way up north in Port Angeles, Washington. $300. Thank you, Greg. Birthday, May 6th. First one without my father. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I also understand all too well how much Adam's surgery cost. Not overboard. Haven't missed a show. Cheers, Sir Birch. Thank you. Thank you, Sir Birch. Nice guy. I still use, he was the first one that turned me on to the Sonic Care toothbrushes. He sent me one, and I've been using them ever since.
He sent me one, too. Mine blew up. I had to buy another one.
It blew up, like exploded in your face? Like
it blew up.
Like a vape? A poof.
Sir John and Blaine, Minnesota nuts. $2.99. He becomes associate executive producer, and he says, best show ever last Sunday, I believe. Very interesting, the Tucker and Don analysis. Don wanted to get a quick donation off before the deadline and can't wait and can't for the life of me find what the exact email is for the note. Adam, would you please tell the listeners out there what the note address is?
Notes, Notes, N-O-T-E-S, at noagendashow.net. Notes at noagendashow.net. That's notes at noagendashow.net.
Went to the rickety.dvorak.org page, which is being changed as we speak. And it still says to send money to John at Dvorak, or send notes to, I don't remember that, but if it did, I got it, and I forwarded it to Jay, who put it in the spreadsheet.
Not unless it said donation in the subject line.
And it said donation in the subject line wisely.
Yes. Okay.
So that, I guess it's official, though I swear it goes on. Keep them coming, guys, of the best show we ever did. No jingles, no karma, Sir John of the Dunkirk Mud Flats.
Baron of Whistler in Whistler, BC. I've been to Whistler. This is fantastic, that glacier up there. California, Canada, I'm sorry. 244.91. This is 333 Scandinavian. That's right.
We have to upgrade him.
You are upgraded. I got you on the list to be upgraded. We still do that, even though your money is getting pretty pathetic. I mean, it's short. You're short. You're shortchanging us by like $60. Crazy. Our dollar keeps tanking. My annual May 5th birthday donation, John forgot, so I can't complain about the Cinco de Mayo promo this year. What did you forget?
I forgot to plug the tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo.
Ow! Oh. Happy birthday to Theo. Theo's on the list, I guess. No.
Yeah. He is. He's on the list.
Who is it? Your Theo? Theodorable?
Theo Dvorak, yeah.
Oh, Theodorable. How old is Theodorable turning?
He's going to be 6.
Oh, man. Are you still making him do crazy stuff?
Like what?
I know, stuff that his mother hates.
Oh, well, I mean, if possible, yeah, of course.
What's the latest? Give us the latest.
Well, I haven't got any latest ones because, he's been grumpy and he's not...
he's a
haven't
Dvorak.
had the opportunity.
He's a Dvorak. He's grumpy.
A grumpy kid.
Happy birthday to Theo. Thanks for keeping it real. Regards, Baron of Whistler. Luge goat karma, please. Yeah, we got that for you, man.
You've got karma.
Sir Tooth Fairy in Valparaiso, Indiana. Hey, guys, John, I received my copy of Too Many Eggs the other day.
Nice.
What a wonderful cookbook. Please tell Mimi I'm greatly enjoying it and can't wait to try some of the recipes this weekend. Well, that'll keep you busy. Adam, thank you for sharing your dental implant experience. Your hearing improved after the infected molars being removed is very interesting. I have been screening my hard of hearing patients for undiagnosed sinus infections since I heard your story.
Cool.
Thanks for all you do. And Adam, could you please not be so short with John?
What is this?
He means well. Yeah, and I agree with our Sir Tooth Fairy.
Mean? I'm not short with
Yak karma for all, please, Sir Tooth Fairy.
Wow.
Finally.
Wow. I would appreciate you letting me know if you've found any undiagnosed sinus infections. And I need to hook you up with Mitch Maverick, my periodontist. We're going to start a revolution, I think. All right. Yes, of course, we got yak karma for you. No problem.
You've got karma.
Yeah, and those are the executive and associate executive producers for episode 1552. We thank you all very much. These credits that you get are permanent. They never go away. You will always be an executive producer or associate executive producer of this episode. You can flaunt that broadly wherever you feel like it. You could put it on all kinds of places, your resume, a LinkedIn profile, IMDb. You can actually use this and start an IMDb profile. They are accepted, and they are recognized there. And unlike the douchebags in Hollywood, if anyone questions this, we'd be happy to hop on the phone and vouch for you. We got a couple of meetups to talk about. John's going to take us through to the 50s right now.
Matt saying, we do have a few people to thank. Continue to thank. I'm starting with Matt in St. Clair, and these are just names and amounts. Matt St. Clair, it's Matt in St. Clair, Michigan, 133.33. Urbana Boulders, LL. Oh, it's Boulders. Is it really Boulders, not Builders?
I don't know.
But anyway, it's Urbana Boulders, LLC in Urbana, Illinois. Baron Latikin in Houston, Texas. John Robinet, parts unknown. Ron Chambliss in Attica in Indiana. Metal Dog Machines in Rocky Mountain House, Alberta. 100.
Send us a machine to try.
I want a machine.
And I want a boulder.
A boulder would be handy.
I'd love to have a boulder.
You could use one in your yard.
I could.
Patrick Brandon, 86. Oh, by the way, those are all $100 donors. Sorry.
Yeah.
Patrick Brandon is 8686. Kevin McLaughlin's back with 8008. Seeing how many can he do?
Yeah.
Gabe and he's in Locust, North Carolina. Gabe the Farrier, What's a farrier, you think?
Farrier or Fourier?
It says farrier, and it came right off the spreadsheets. Brentwood, California,
Send us one. Send us a farrier.
8008. Wyan Cartini in Torrington, Connecticut, 7421. Corey Rule in Marion, Iowa, 7183. Instrument check or something. I'm not sure what he wants. Sarah Hubert in Mitcham, UK, sent us a really sweet note on a pig, and she is it's just an interesting note. She's I guess does murals or something. She's an itinerant artist. I want to thank her for that.
Well, but why don't you read the note? She took the trouble of sending it on a pig.
Yeah,
I have it.
You have it. Why don't you read it?
In the morning, John Adam. Here's my rather late happy birthday John donation. You see, it's important.
It is for me.
71.58. 58p, that's pence, is for my birthday, which was on the 4th. It's late because I was value for valuing in a remote rural South African Zoza village. Oh, I've seen Sarah's work. She sent me a picture of this. I paint murals and teach local artists in return for accommodation and meals. Check out the beautiful Bululunga Lodge, pronounced Bulungula, at Bulungula.
Hey,
it's racist, I know.
You're out.
BULUNGULA.co.za for South Africa. In my 5 weeks there, I unplugged from everything except the best podcast in the universe. Unmissable. Love is lit. From Sarah Hubert. Thank you, Sarah. I told you, nice note. Worth it.
Yeah, she's actually famous. Max Wyndham in Spring, Texas, $68. Hendrik Jalink. Jalink in Herde. Gotta get that E in there.
Herde.
Hendrik Jalink in Herde. Herde. 6556. And he wants to give a shout out to Ann Peter Strickverda
in
Hirda.
They're doing it just to get this out of you. You should be
love it.
Should be sending more money for that, people. You're making my monkey perform. Come on, let's just send more money. Send more money.
Brian Furley, 5510 parts unknown. Sir Anonymous in Liverpool.
Oh, Merseyside.
UK.
Merseyside.
5510. Oh, yeah. Arlie's Digana in Levittown, New York. I need some karma. We'll put it at the end there for you. 5446. And I could have the name wrong. Digena. And Bob Butler's next in Cumming, Georgia. 5069. Mike Vaughn in Clarkston, Michigan. 5036 with a birthday. Dame Knight is who this is.
Hold on a second. Mike Vaughn also says missed make good from show 1500. Need some baby making karma. I'll do that for you, Mike. I got the baby making karma. We got the special baby making karma.
Dame Knight in Edmonds, Washington is 5015, and now we got the $50 donors. A few of them. Clara Thornhill starts it off in Toronto. Dotted Mind in Lincolnshire, UK. Tony Lang in Castle Plains, Colorado.
Send us a dotted mind with the machine.
We need a dotted mind.
We need a couple.
Tony Lang in Castle Plains, Colorado. Jordan Hoyno in Salem, Oregon. Justin Heiner in Vine Grove, Kentucky. Jacob Martinez in El Monte, California. Anna Drake in Whitestown, Indiana. Kurt Patrick in Nanaimo, BC, on the island. James Sharametta in Napanock, New York. Charles Peterson in Albuquerque. Baron of Belmont in Belmont, North Carolina, with a birthday shout out. Brian Watson in Raleigh, North Carolina. Walker Phillips in San Rafael, California. And last but not least, Aichi Kitagawa in San Francisco.
I have one note that came into my P.O. box, which is always a little confusing. $160 in cash from, and it's a handwritten note. Podfather, I hope this note finds you well and resting post-surgery. Please find my long overdue donation. I'm not worthy of any awards or accolades. I kindly ask for karma for my smoking hot wife and 2 human resources, and it says, cheers Wafhund or Wolfhound. It's kind of hard to read. And he gave me a cool patch, which looks like some military service that shoots down Chinese balloons. And try and get that to the right PO box, people, because now I have to send it to John. It's just it ruins the accounting, and it's already sketch. So we have to keep everything on the up and up. But thank you very much. We appreciate that. Thank you to everyone who also came in under $50. That is typically because you want complete anonymity. There's one reason for you, but also people on some of these sustaining donations, which are incredibly important, particularly when we have one donation segment, then those things really help. We appreciate that. And if you'd like to learn more, go to the still old page, but a new one's in the works as we speak.
Dvorak.org/NA.
And here's the karma for everybody who needed. I'm adding a goat.
You've got karma.
And thank you all very much for supporting the best podcast in the universe, episode 1552.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave. It's your birthday.
Our birthday list includes Sarah Hubert, who celebrates today, April 4th. Lauren Paluoda wishes her smoking hot boyfriend, Eric Bradley, a belated happy birthday. He turned 27 on April 29th. Oh, wait, Sarah was April 4th. That's an old one. I'm sorry. Mike Vaughn turned 36 on April 30th. We have the Baron of Belmont wishing his comrade John Thrower a happy birthday. That was May 1st. Builder Mike turning 61 today. Danelle Mackey celebrating today. Theodore, the Theodorable Dvorak. Tomorrow, May 5th. Baron of Whistler, also tomorrow, May 5th. Greg Birch, our dentist up north, May 6th. And Dennis O'Brien is turning 33. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe.
Know what agenda meetups.
The No Agenda meetups. I'm going to the Austin meetup on the 13th, I believe. Tina's going to be in New York with her visiting her daughter. That'll be for Mother's Day, so I'm going to be there and bring my buddy Jimmy. So looking forward to everybody at Doc's Backyard on the 13th. We had one report. This is the I Might Be High report. Their 10th coming together as a meetup.
In the morning, John and Adam, we had our 10th meetup in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. In honor of Canada's Bill C-11, we bring you the I Must Be High meetup report.
How many donators in this room?
My name's not Troy. I'm really high.
In the morning, Adam and John from Toronto, still a douchebag. So sorry, broke musician.
I'm a douchebagette.
Oh, this is cool. Adam Curry, DM me. I'll come up with something.
In the morning, Bitcoin. I could buy weed with it, right?
They actually were high. That's impressive. It's not just a slogan. Those guys mean it. Starting right now, if you're in Brookfield, Illinois, the May the 4th Be With You meetup is kicking off. That's for Chicago Central, Irish Times Pub and Restaurant. On Saturday, the Hoosiers Fort Wayne Club 33 Weekend Dancers meetup, 1 o'clock at Hal's Tavern and Coventry in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We have the Secret Chinese Spy Balloon South Jersey meetup on Saturday at 1 o'clock at Miller's Ale House, Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Hogan's Heroes meetup in Ohio, Michigan, the Ohio, Michigan Mixer, 1 o'clock at Liberty Aviation Museum. That's in Port Clinton, Ohio. You must RSVP. Sir Timothy of No Fixed Title is organizing that. The Delaplane, Virginia, new location, spook meetup, I guess. Barrel Oak Winery and Brewery in Delaplane, Virginia. All right, if you're a spook, you need to be there. Also on Saturday, the Virginia, Maryland, West Virginia Tri-State Data Science meetup. Madison Village Apartments Clubhouse, the main room in Winchester, Virginia. 2 spook meetups. And the Making Our Own Milieu at 4 o'clock, New York time, Cleveland Draft House, Garner, North Carolina. There you go. TJ, the redhead at the bar, is organizing. Hey, now. And on Sunday, our next show day, the Build Snohomish Back Better, 3 o'clock Pacific, South to Summit Brewing, Snohomish, Washington. Lady 3 Jane is organizing that. We got a lot of meetups all the way through, where I see May, all the way to the end of June already. You see the Netherlands, a couple of them. You in an Amsterdam meetup in the Leiden? Oh, the Netherlands going insane. All kinds of meetups. This is something that you need in your life. You go to one and you'll guaranteed you will go to another one. Even when you're vacationing somewhere, before you know it, but hey, there's a meetup. You always be checking it. Go to joeagendameetups.com, look around, search around. If you can't find a meetup near you, start one. It's easy and it's always a party.
Sometimes you want to go hang out with all the nights and days.
Bum, bum, bum.
You want to be where you won't be, triggered or held to blame. You want to be where everybody feels the same. It's like a party.
It sure is. How are we doing on time? Oh, man. You know, we only one donation segment. We make more. We do more podcasts.
So, a couple of things I wanted to play.
Do you have an ISO?
I do have an ISO. I have. How many do you have?
I appear to have 4 for some reason.
Well, I have 1, and so I think you're going to win. But here's my 1.
You're okay.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, I mean, I could fart and do a better. I could win the ISO contest over that one. Let's see what I got.
Wow, that is really interesting.
Okay, that's it right there.
Well, let me play the other 3.
It's the same guy who said, "Wow, I'm really high."
You're not great at stoking outrage. What a shame.
A little too produced, I think. What's this one?
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
And my last one?
Russian disinformation.
It's cute, but no.
It's definitely this one, huh?
Wow, that is really interesting.
Because it's really not. Okay, we'll use that one. Yeah, it's cute. All right, good. What do you got? You got some.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit. I got 2 clips because it's so it's not being reported well here in this country as usual because M5M has their walking papers or their orders or whatever they call it.
Your orders. My papers.
They get their orders, and they're not going to do too much about this Belgrade school shooting in Serbia.
Oh, okay. Good one. I'm glad you got this.
So here we have 2. I have 2 clips, and one of them has a little tidbit that won't be talked about much, and the other one has kind of another little tidbit they don't want to talk about. So let's play the Belgrade school shooting. This is Al Jazeera.
The parents of a 13-year-old boy accused of opening fire in a school in the Serbian capital, Belgrade, have been arrested. The city's mourning the deaths of 8 children and 1 security guard. Police say the suspect used his father's gun in the attack, but the boy is not expected to be charged because he's below the legal age to face trial. Instead, Serbian President Alexander Vučić is looking to change the law concerning the age of criminal responsibility, and says the boy will be placed in a psychiatric institution.
Huh.
So they're doing something that was always talked about in this country, and it just disappeared from the face of the earth, arresting the parents for their bad seed.
Yeah. And was this kid drugged up?
We don't have any, probably not in this case, but who knows? Maybe. But whatever the case was, the parents of the 13-year-old shooter was arrested.
Wow.
I think if we started doing that here, it might change a few things.
I would think so.
So the parents were arrested, and then you hear this other little tidbit in the end of this second part of this report, which I think is another reason not to really talk about it too much.
Fire on students inside the hallway before entering his history classroom. He shot the teacher first, then turned the weapon on his classmates as they tried to flee, killing and wounding many.
I was walking up the stairs and I could hear a sound that I thought maybe were kids throwing firecrackers, having fun. But then I could hear it more and the sound was coming from the front of the school. I saw the security guard falling to the ground, so I quickly ran from where I was.
A security guard is also among the dead. The teacher left fighting for her life.
This tragedy occurred in the Vladislav Ribnik Primary School of the Vračar municipality of the city of Belgrade. Unfortunately, 8 children died, and one security guard was also killed. The injured children and one school teacher have been hospitalized. No one can bring these children back to their parents.
As parents and emergency services hurried to the elementary school in the Serbian capital, the suspect was on the phone to the police, confessing the shooting before being arrested in the schoolyard. Described as quiet and good pupil and said to be new to the class, he was led away by police, his face covered. There is yet no known motive for an attack that the police said was carefully planned.
This was the list of children that he intended to kill. He did it alone. He made the plan by himself. The plan of entering the school, of exiting. It was found on his desk. And as he said, he determined the priority targets. This sketch looks like a video game, a horror movie.
This sort of things does not happen very often in Serbia, where strict gun laws apply.
It doesn't happen very often because strict gun laws apply.
There you go.
Can't talk about shh. Stop it with the strict gun laws.
Well, since that was rather depressing, I like to leave on an upbeat note about climate change. And the reason this is an upbeat clip is because this is Kennedy, the Joe Kennedy, the funny guy. Is he a senator? Or is he a congressman?
John Kennedy.
John Kennedy, not Joe. John Kennedy, yes. See,
he's a. That's a good question.
I don't remember what
I think he's a senator.
So he is badgering the Assistant Secretary of Energy, who's presented the most recent plan, which is, I guess, over until 2035, a total of $50 trillion to combat climate change. Which sounds about. Have you seen this clip?
No, I'm sure I know his type, his style of clips, though. Because they're always funny.
All the senators and the Congress people, when they do this stuff for the cameras, it's always performative. It's always, it's to get votes or whatever. But this guy, showboating. But in this case, it's really appropriate and it's really good. And he just is. I love the guy.
Percent of global emissions. Yeah, but if you could answer my question, if we spend $50 trillion to become carbon neutral in the United States of America by 2050, you're the Deputy Secretary of Energy. Give me your estimate of how much that is going to reduce world temperatures.
So first of all, it's a net cost. It's what benefits we're having from getting our act together and reducing all of those climate benefits. We're seeing.
Let me ask again. Maybe I'm not being clear. If we spent $50 trillion to become carbon neutral by 2050 in the United States of America, how much is that going to reduce world temperatures?
This is a global problem, so we need to reduce our emissions, and we need to do everything we can.
How much, if we do our part, is it going to reduce world temperatures?
We're 13% of global emissions.
You don't know, do you? You don't know, do you?
You can do the math. We need to.
You don't know, do you, Mr. Secretary?
So we're 13% of global.
If you know, why won't you tell me?
If we went to zero, that would be 13%.
You don't know, do you? You just want us to spend $50 trillion. And you don't have the slightest idea whether it's going to reduce world temperatures. Now, I'm all for carbon neutrality, but you're the Deputy Secretary of the Department of Energy, and you're advocating we spend trillions of dollars to seek carbon neutrality, and you can't, and this isn't your money or my money, it's taxpayer money, and you can't tell me how much it's going to lower world temperatures? Or you won't tell me? You know, but you won't?
In my heart of hearts, there is no way the world gets its act together on climate change unless the U.S. leads.
Tell me how much it's going to reduce. You can't tell me. Either that or you won't.
I love that guy. All right, I got 35 seconds for one last clip. This guy's boss, the Energy Secretary, Jennifer Granholm, You know, the one with the saucers on her head that she calls ears?
She's the dumbest one in the whole group.
Well, yes, she is. Because tell me if this sounds like a good idea.
Do you support the military adopting that EV fleet by 2030?
I do, and I think we can get there as well. And I do think that reducing our reliance on the volatility of globally traded fossil fuels, where we know that global events such as the war in Ukraine can jack up prices for people back home, it does not contribute to energy security. I think energy security is achieved when we have homegrown clean energy that is abundant, like you see in Iowa. We think that we can be a leader globally in how we have become energy independent.
She wants to put the entire U.S. military fleet on EVs.
So I know. It's hilarious.
So when we're in Iraq or something, one of these desert places we'd like to go and blow up from time to time, we have to go plug in?
Yeah.
I mean, really? And how about the planes? Should they also be all EVs?
Well, they're going to try to do that, too, if they can.
These people need to be kicked out. Kicked out. All of them.
How'd they get in?
Incompetency. Obviously.
No, rigged elections. Hello?
I'm sorry, yes, rigged elections. All right, everybody, enjoy Saturday. King Charles's coronation. That should be a hoot.
That's right. That's the big coronation is on Saturday.
Yeah, you played the clips, remember?
I know, but I didn't realize it was this Saturday.
Well, there you go. No agenda. Always on top of the news and behind the times.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to be there. I wasn't invited.
Coming up next on the No Agenda stream, we got Rhino the Bearded with his 00 Top 10. Yeah, music on the stream. All legal. It's a cool deal. End of show mixes. We have classic Abel Kirby. We got new Dee's Last, classic Billy Bones, and some Dustin Jones. And coming to you from the heart of the Texas Hill Country, here in your FEMA region number 6 in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I remain, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Sunday with another episode of the best podcast in the universe, Your Media Deconstruction. Remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. Until then, adios, mofos, a hooey hooey, and such.
The potholes on the road won't go away. Prepping for the show like usual. Didn't have much else to do anyway.
Thank you for producing the best podcast in the universe. Well, the producers produce it. Y'all produce it. We just do it. I've been a listener for the past few years. I have no recollection of how I found this show. Stoner.
Stoner.
Hey, man, I've been listening. I don't know why. I don't know how I found it, but just dropped it in my lap. At first, I thought it was okay.
Back and forth watching the Nuggets. A Joker was fun. Getting back to seeing my nephews. I really want a son or a daughter. I don't care, a healthy baby. In this world, I guess they'd say a they be. Who would go for that? Whitney saying crack was whack. Bobby and me have way too much money to consider that. Yeah, right? In hindsight, the family tragedy, kids passing was sad to see. In this sick society, we normalize the lies that we tell ourselves. Not even surprised. Brainwashing in school is happening earlier. Progress to regress when the men are getting girlier. Fix your face. Can't lie that I'm looking surlier. Gender affirming care, your parents, are you not scared? Child castration, mutilation, top surgery, scars, kids and treated like stars. Is affirmation, generation ruining the nation. Born in the wrong body, God don't make mistakes. Google, barf and chat, GPT is full of deep fakes. 80% moving from girls to boys. Media portrays the other way, and kids are not what? Kids are not playing with their toys. SEL, social emotional learning. Cradle to the grave, real fathers in leadership is what they're yearning for. Anti-trans legislation, say no more. Give them a lifetime of medication therapy. More demonizing faith in a higher G-O-D. Want you to relinquish your sovereignty to G-O-V. Then they lie to you like Sodom and Gomorrah are the times we are living in. Look around at all the silly promoted of cities in. No agenda, no a what? no agenda. Don't get offended. What's a woman anyway? Top of the pyramid's a transgender.
New shit has come to light. I've got information. My wife has worked the last 6 years for a company that makes prosthetic penises for trans men. I mean, we have no listeners of any influence, but we've got interesting people out there.
We have the meat. Oh, he's got no note.
To the squirrel mails.
Let me just take a look. I'm not sure. Oh, wait, stop. I put too many M's. Again, nothing. No. Still nothing. Hit it.
Back to the bong. You know how if you smoke weed, how music can sound different?
Yeah.
It's a trip.
Oh, that's where you get the bong for.
I got the bong.
Hey, man. I'm a lightweight. Can I have a little waist up?
Did anyone see you in this state?
No, I'm for reefer. I'm going to go listen to Rihanna.
The best podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Wow, that is really interesting.